to the gamer sideline. On the gamer sideline, it's more than a game. It's the dynasty dreams and that Hall of Fame name. So press star, lock in, let the podcast ride. Cause the sticks are in hand and the passion don't hide. On the gamer sideline, it's more than a game. It's the dynasty dreams and that Hall of Fame name. So press star, lock in, let the podcast ride. Cause this so it made me, the passion don't hide.
What is good? My name is Eric, otherwise known as Kinetik615. Welcome into our Madden 26 franchise deep dive. This is my co-host here.
Yo, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Gamer Sideline, the place where sports meets the sticks and stories get pixel deep. I'm your host, our other host, Mike, also known as Lichemax626.
Yes, sir. All right, so we're going to go through the Madden 26 franchise mode deep dive was released today. They put out a trailer for it on YouTube. They also put in, just like we've done before with the college football 26, the campus huddle deep dives. They put out a similar article on EA.com. So we'll go ahead and go through that. And this is our first time, both of us, watching the trailer, reading through the notes on here, and we're just going to react as we go. This time, I will stop the video if I see something that I want to talk about. Lichemax, let me know if you see something that you want to talk about on it as well. But we'll just start and stop through the video so we can see interesting things that it shows on screen, and then we'll read through the notes.
Sounds good. Let's get into it.
All right, here we go. Helps if I actually put it on the screen first.
It does help to have it prepared ahead of time. Yep, that's for sure.
We are not professionals yet, guys.
We're getting there. We're getting there. We'll get a couple more videos. I think we should have this shit down.
All right, here we go.
Franchise enters a new era in Madden NFL 26. With the most
Okay, wait a minute. What was that mascot? Is that a team mascot?
I look like the Bengals mascot almost. The one doing a backflip.
It's a bird.
Oh.
It's like the Cardinals, maybe? I don't know NFL
6
mascot.
with the most meaningful update in over a decade.
Okay, so we got the Ravens.
Yeah.
On your vision, your strategy, and your identity as a coach.
Got the planes.
The first step in establishing your franchise legacy is to choose what kind of coaching.
Okay, coaching archetype. So does this mean they're bringing in some of the college football coaching tree type builds to replace the Madden ones?
I mean, if that's the case, that would definitely add some more depth to the current build of Madden coaches. Because I mean, beforehand you had like three separate trees for each coach, and then you had three separate personnel trees that you could go down. So if they're adding in like the coaching archetypes, where like it's got the archetype wheel instead of just three separate trees to go down, I mean that would be pretty awesome. Add some more extra depth into building your coach in Madden.
100%. And because I forgot to do this at the beginning, guys, like, comment, share, subscribe. Let us know your thoughts on the video. Also, if you would, check out the GoFundMe in the link. And if you have any questions about that, feel free to hit me up on X or any other social media at Kinetik615.
And that GoFundMe link is in the description.
That's what I said, isn't it?
Yeah, you said in the link. The GoFundMe in the link.
In the description.
I got it. Yeah, it's in the description.
My bad. All right, here we go.
Want to be all new coach archetypes.
Okay, right here. So when you create a coach, hold on. Let's see if they
offer unique identities with strengths and progression paths inspired.
Okay.
Oh, so you have.
Okay. So I'm assuming you pick your team like before,
yeah,
and you choose either the real life coach for the team you've picked, or you create your own coach. If you create your own coach, you're going to choose between offensive guru, defensive genius, and development wizard. And then each one has a different rating in offense, defense, player development, and personnel development.
That is quite interesting. I do like the pictures that they choose, the coaches they chose to represent each one. Andy Reid as the offensive guru. I'm not entirely sure who the defensive guru is.
You should, because as a Michigan fan, that is Todd Bowles, and his son Troy Bowles just transferred to Michigan this
Okay,
past.
well, I can't.
transfer
I
portal.
can't. Well, I couldn't see what team he was on. I can kind of recognize the teams, but not really. And then for Development Wizard, it's amazing that they have
I mean,
Dan Campbell in
I
there.
guess if you're going to put Dan Campbell in one of the three, I guess Development Wizard. I'm not so sure Development Wizard fits him. But
I mean,
of the
he
three,
has
he's
done
more Development Wizard than like offense or defensive guru or genius. But I don't really see Dan Campbell as a development guy either. I see him more as to borrow a term from college, more of a motivator style coach.
Well, right, but I mean, since they don't have that style here, Development Wizard would be the next best thing.
Yeah, I just feel like there's other coaches in the
Yeah, I
NFL
know.
that
I know where you. I know you would say Kevin
No,
O'Connell
I'm not
should
even
go
saying
there.
Kevin O'Connell. I'm just saying that there's other coaches that I feel like would fit the development wizard title more. And I'm not even saying Kevin O'Connell. When I see Dan Campbell, I don't think development wizard. But I think it's cool Dan Campbell's on here. Like I just probably would have put him on this graphic because I don't feel like any of these three really fit him.
I think he fits both offensive and defensive, but they can't have one that's both.
See, I don't think so because I think the offensive and defensive genius of the Lions the last few years were Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, and they were the coordinators. They both went to new teams.
I know they abandoned us.
I always look at Dan Campbell as sort of the motivator, the not the CEO, but the guy that just like that sets the tone for the team itself, you know. But then like the X's and O's genius came from Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. Anyways, let's so we got offense. So the development wizard has 2 bars on offense and defense, 4 on player development, nothing on personnel development. Offense has 4 on offense, none on defense, vice versa for defensive genius. And then they both have 2 bars on player development, 1 on personnel development. That's interesting.
So it sounds like Development Wizard is kind of like a good balance between offensive and defensive, but with more focus on player development.
Right. All right, let's get back into it.
And of coach you want to be. All new coach archetypes offer unique identities with strengths and progression paths inspired by real NFL coaching styles.
All right, who we got here? I don't know who the Buffalo Bills head coach is, but that's Sean McVay and Mike Tomlin.
Yep.
Then customize your
coach customization.
Well, they show the Buffalo guy again and Mike Tomlin again. Wait, hold on.
No, this is you went back.
Then
there you go.
Brian Callahan in Tennessee. Is it Bruce Arians? I don't know. I don't know the coach.
I think so. Yeah, I don't. I mean, a lot of like I want to call them subpar team coaches. I don't really know, and I don't mean that. I don't mean any offense by that to people who might be fans of those teams. It's just I don't know the coaches.
Well, they're no Dan Campbell. They're no Jim Harbaugh. They're no Andy Reid. They're no Nick Sirianni. So this is interesting though. This is very similar to the screen that we saw on the college game. I do see some differences. I don't think the college game had the puffer jacket.
Right.
But I do see some of them that are similar: the suit and tie, the sweater vest, the hoodie. So there are going to be some that are the same, but probably some that are different.
Yeah, that's great that they're adding in more customization
from head to toe. Now it's time to strategize.
So you can get sneakers for your coach now.
Oh, dude, sweet! I can be on the sideline with Jordans. Let's go.
If they're showing like shoes and sneakers and whatnot as far as drip for the coaches, and they don't give the equipment kids, the 15-year-olds in the chat that obsess over leg sleeves and stuff, anything in this video either, I swear it's intentional, man.
The new weekly.
So what do we see here? I mean, it looks pretty much
strategy system lets you attack each.
Okay, the score bug is different though.
Oh yeah, it looks a lot cleaner.
All right, so we got weekly strategy here. So we're gonna see the difference in weekly strategy.
The new weekly strategy system lets you attack each opponent with more detail and control.
Okay, what is this? Weekly strategy. You can evaluate, replace, or upgrade your coaching staff here. So it shows set coach abilities. So
those coaching abilities now.
Yeah, so the coaches are apparently going to have abilities, and you have to select the ones that they have that you want to load out with them. It says set coach abilities to utilize your staff's skills and utilize play sheets to keep teams guessing with unique additions to your playbook. That's interesting.
That is quite
and then,
interesting.
I don't know what these symbols mean here, so each one's gonna signify a different ability. But
Yeah,
like college, they've got bronze, silver, gold, and platinum tiers. It says game day and season abilities. Staff loadouts can consist of both game day abilities that work week to week or season abilities that must be used for a certain period of time. And then over here it shows a panel for wear and tear, and it shows a trainer, which I'm guessing is going to be like a staff member. That I remember in old Madden games, not so much in the most recent ones, but you actually did have to hire a named trainer along with your coordinators. I vaguely remember this. And apparently the trainers are going to have some influence on wear and tear, I'm guessing. And it's got some bars here that show high risk, low risk. Says use trainer abilities and manage player reps to ensure players are fresh and navigate wear and tear.
That's pretty awesome.
So this will all be part of the new weekly strategy.
It's going to add another layer.
Attack each opponent with more detail and control. How you prepare each week is up to you. Build in-depth game plans, identify counters.
Okay, wait a minute. What is this? Hold on.
These are the game plans.
Well, this is in-game. This is actual game footage here. There is a tab on the play call screen that says play sheets.
So
so they mentioned something in the last screen. Let me go back real quick about play sheets doing something to your playbook. Okay, let's see. To utilize your staff skills and utilize play sheets to keep teams guessing with unique additions to your playbook. So is this saying that based on your coordinators or your coach abilities that it's going to add certain sets of additional plays to your playbook that aren't in the playbook by default, but that your coach brings with them?
That's what it looks like, and I mean that is great, man.
So and here it shows 4 different play sheets. So I'm assuming that of the play sheets available to your coaching staff, you can select 4 play sheets as a loadout to take with you into the games on top of your normal playbook. And here we've got an example of heavy sets, air raid gun, wide slot, and west coast. And just looking at the air raid gun, which is currently on the pause moment here, it's got 4 bullet points. The first one says unlocks play sheet, short passes and RPOs featuring multiple shotgun formations. Second bullet point says +3 to all pass blocking abilities for the offensive line on play sheet plays. So I'm guessing these are coach abilities that modify specifically the plays from the play sheet. The third bullet point says +3 to short route running and catch in traffic for wide receiver and tight end on play sheet plays. And the fourth bullet point here says +3 medium route running for wide receiver, tight end, and +3 medium accuracy for quarterback on play sheet plays.
And hey, we got Blue Wolverine in the chat. What's up?
Oh, hey, Blue Wolverine. How's it going, man? I don't see him in the chat. Why am I not seeing him? Hold on. Did we not? We're new at this. Hold on.
I have it set to all destinations. I see chat from everywhere.
Well, yeah, but I've got. Oh, there it is. Okay, I can see him now. Awesome. What's going on, Blue Wolverine? I don't know why. So I'm learning how to do this. Lichemax is learning. So we're 100%. This is an amateur hour, but we're having fun with it.
Yeah. So I like the addition of these play sheets. So it looks like it's gonna give you extra abilities for the plays that you call. If you stick within the play sheet, the play sheets you have set, that's gonna add another layer to the game planning, at least week to week, when it comes to the opponents you're matched up with. You're definitely going to have to pay more attention to that rather than just clicking through it super fast to get your training like you did before. I'm curious also, I'm sure it'll be covered in this video, if how the training is going to work week to week, because I really think that needs a little bit of an overhaul, but I do like how they do it currently. But more or less just the game planning week to week, which I think that's what this is talking about. And that's going to be definitely interesting and add another extra layer of depth when it comes to planning what your game plan is for each week, rather than just kind of picking whatever they recommend, you know?
Well, yeah, and I mean, in the previous couple of years, the weekly game plan would show you information on your upcoming opponent, their play call tendencies, their
Yeah.
key playmakers, stuff like that. So if I'm assuming that, I mean, that's probably overhauled, but it's still going to show a lot of that same information. And being able to see, okay, this is what my opponent likes to do. And assuming that as you level your coach and your coordinators up, that you unlock additional play sheets that you can then choose which for on a week by week basis to carry into the game. You can further customize your default playbook with play sheets that will complement them against your specific opponents. So I do think that adds another level of being able to prepare and game plan for each opponent week to week. I really like that.
Oh, absolutely.
Game plans, identify counters, and make tough calls that will shape your season and your coaching legacy. Expand your strategic arsenal with all new coach abilities. 48 game day abilities.
All right, let's see. So this is the first screen we're seeing. This is the coach ability screen.
This is John Harbaugh's
screen. We can see the head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and the trainer, and each one has their own tab. I'm not sure what we can sort by here, but they've got offense abilities, defensive abilities, player development, and personnel. And then so a couple of them that we can see here. So this one's showing Stamina Stealer. And just to give an idea what these abilities do, it says 1 week duration when loaded. So I wonder if there's like a cooldown. So like if you use the Stamina Stealer and it says 1 week duration after you use it for a week, is there a cooldown before you can use it again? Is it a limit that you can only use it once or however many weeks that it has there once a season? Like you have to pick which games to use it on. But this is what it says for it. It says it has 4 active tiers, or it has 4 tiers, and it shows which ones are active. So for this ability specifically, tier 1 says defensive line takes a fatigue hit for every 4+ rush yard rush. Tier 2 does the same thing to linebackers, a fatigue hit. Tier 3 gives increased fatigue hit for defenders who miss tackles. And Tier 4 does increased fatigue hit for defenders who miss hit sticks. Now, this is very interesting here. So this is definitely something that was taken from and expanded on from the college game. Because in the college game, in CFB 25, in the Scheme Guru ability tier, there was an ability that did the exact same thing. Now, this specifically also mentions fatigue hit for defenders who miss tackles and hit sticks. That's something that I heard, that we read alluded to in the deep dive for college football, but had not been expounded upon. So apparently it's part of the talents. In Madden, I would assume it's the same in college. It also says down here a progression goal for this ability to get, okay, so I guess tier, but maybe it's mastery. But to achieve mastery 1, no turnovers in a game 3 times. So 3 games, no turnovers. And apparently you can also downgrade tiers. You can lose tiers. So in this case, downgrading is being held to under 50 yards rushing. So there's milestones that you can achieve, or that can either move you up in a tier or unlock a tier, move you to the next tier, or move you back a tier.
So that's going to be incredibly useful, especially for people who like to play a certain way to pad out their season stats. This is going to kind of force them to have to play like a normal game rather than trying to just air raid it out the whole game. Unless you have a coach ability that focuses around air raid, where that's how you upgrade it. But for the most part, this is definitely going to help split the yardage you gain for each game. If you have a chance to lose on abilities because you decided you wanted to throw the ball 1,000 yards in one game, so
Yeah,
you could
and especially if there's goals of the yardage that you give up. Like we see one here that's where you're held under 50 yards, but let's say there's a downgrade milestone of if you allow 200 yards passing, then you're going to be downgraded, right? Well, if you're padding stats, if you're airing it out and not really running the ball, if you're up, let's say you're up 3 or 4 scores, but you're still trying to pad stats by throwing the ball instead of running the clock out, controlling the clock with the running back, then you're giving the ball back to your opponent more often, and giving them more opportunities to accumulate yardage, which if you do that too much and allow them to accumulate too much yardage, you could end up downgrading your own coach's abilities because you didn't play intelligently like a real coach.
Exactly, and I think that's a huge addition.
All right, let's see what else the screen shows us. I'm gonna back it up and let him talk through the screen. Then I'll back it up again to look at the other coaches or whatnot.
28 game day abilities and 28 seasonal abilities that can be upgraded over 4 tiers of progression. Every success lets you unlock powerful new abilities and open additional ability slots for more variety and control to outsmart weekly opponents. Adjust your ability loadout for unique strategies each week without compromising your true coaching identity. Now you can build a ball control offense or a defense that lives on turnovers. Stacking.
Okay, so real quick, let's go back and look at the abilities, but then there's something else I want to point out real quick. So he actually highlighted quite a few of the abilities. I'll touch on them real quick. I don't want to spend too much time going over each one like we did the first one. But so just looking at some of these other abilities here. So here's one, Bookend Busters. This is a head coach defensive ability. Increased power move success for edge defenders. Increased finesse move success for edge defenders. And then it shows the lock tiers. So if you have them open, it shows them under active tiers. If you have not gotten them, then it shows them under lock tiers. And that one does increase power move success for edge rushers, significantly increase. So you got slight increase, slight and significant increase. Right. Let's see. Ahead of the chains, coach offensive ability. So it looks like each coach has one okay, never mind, because that's 2 offense and 1 defense. So John Harbaugh has 2 offense and 1 defense ability. Or no, wait. No, those are all 3 offensive abilities. So he's got 3 offensive abilities. He's got a whole bunch of defensive abilities. Okay, never mind. Okay. And this coloration up here is just showing what tiers are unlocked.
That's
All right, and then
I like that.
Busters, defensive ability, power move success, finesse move success, like we said. So, and he said that there were weekly and seasonal abilities.
Yeah.
So again, I wonder if like the weekly or the game time ones, if that means that you can change them week to week, or you can only use them, a set number of times, and then you can't use them the rest of the season. And then the season ones are you set them for the season and you can't change them, or when you set them, they can be used throughout the entire season. I'm curious about that. Let's see. Interior Havoc increases power move success for defensive tackles. So same thing as Bookend Busters, just interior. Hitimus Stickamus. What does this say? It says loaded 0 weeks duration. So this is showing maybe how long you've had it active.
Yeah, that's what it looks like
on some of these abilities. This one gives increased fatigue on offensive players from hit sticks. So you can inflict fatigue on players with hit sticks, and this gives increased fatigue. Wow. Okay, so it also can slightly and significantly increase the timing window for hit sticks and increase fumble odds for successful hit sticks.
And there's also ability that adds fatigue for missed hit sticks as well, I think, on offense.
Right. No fly zone, increased zone coverage for cornerbacks when running cover 3. Zone coverage for safeties running cover 3. Increased break on ball for cornerbacks and safeties. So cover 3 specific abilities. So there's coverage specific abilities here. Aerial suppression, increased man coverage on blitz plays. Reduced chance blitzers can be identified pre-snap. Increased chances blitzers can be misidentified on offense. Practition, I like that, practition. Training XP bonuses per position. That's a player development ability. Did it let us see the personnel? Yeah, that's player. Okay. I don't think it let us see that. Then it goes to another page, and this is the staff loadout. So, okay, so it looks like the staff loadout. So you choose among the available abilities from your coaches, and you can choose up to 6 abilities to load out. I'm assuming on a weekly basis. And over here, it has like sort of a cumulative, like based on the abilities you're loading out, these are the bonuses that you're going to get. Pass offense versus pass defense, run offense versus run defense, etc.
That's
one
pretty
that's
cool.
A practitioner, QB, head coach, player development, increase training XP for QBs. Let's see. Head of the class, coaching staff earns XP, more XP basically.
Okay. I think that's it. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to back it up. Let him go through the next thing.
You can build a ball control offense or a defense that lives on turnovers.
Okay, this right here. Hold on. I wanted to show this. That is a new animation. And this is something. Okay. And this is something that's going to be in college and in Madden. But for years, we have seen in the trailers them, offensive player getting tackled near the goal line and them reaching to try to break the plane of the field of the end zone with the ball. But it's never been an actual gameplay mechanic. Even in the game, they had an animation where it was like he would kind of like try to extend his arm a little bit, but that arm extension, never resulted in a touchdown as far as I've ever seen in either game.
I've seen it once.
I have heard it talked about in one of the deep dives that if in a tackle, if you hold up on one of the joysticks, I forget which one, as you're being tackled, you will extend your arm. It increases the chance of a fumble on a late hit in the tackle, but it also it allows you to potentially gain more yardage with where you're called down at. So this is one of the new animations for that. If you watch Walker here, as he's getting tackled, he's like spinning backwards and reaching behind him to get the touchdown. So watch this.
Or a defense that lives on turnover.
All right, I didn't stop it quick enough.
Yeah, that's fine. I saw it. You can you can change the speed at which it plays. By the way,
I don't even know how to do that.
It's in the cog wheel right there, settings. Go down to playback speed. Yep, you can change it to like 0.25. Yeah.
Oh wait, that slowed it down. 1.25. There we go. I never knew that. Okay.
Well, 1.25 is going to go faster.
That's what we wanted, right? Or no, you were telling
you wanted
me
you wanted to slow it down so you could see it happen. Gotcha. So if you ever see something that you want to slow down, that's how you do it.
Gotcha. Okay, that's cool. Again, I am completely new at this stuff, so yeah. But
yeah, see it right there.
You can see him reaching behind him, and you're exposing yourself to potential fumbles. So you got to be careful with it. But it is a nice little addition that is now officially a mechanic in the game, and not just something we're seeing in the in the
like before.
Also,
like before,
if you look at the user, I don't know what you call it, the thing underneath the player for the user
highlight.
Yeah, so there's a bar here on the left side that depletes. I don't know, is that stamina or wear and tear? There's another one over on the right hand side too. So I'm curious if we'll be able to figure out what that is. All right, I'm sorry, you were saying something?
I was just gonna say, I mean, beforehand, the only like extra thing that we had for when it came to like trying to get touchdowns and whatnot was the skydive. It's kind of what I call it. We try to like jump way high over the line to try to get a touchdown.
They actually call that the dolphin jump.
That's what I meant. Yeah, dolphin jump. Yeah, Sorry, but yeah, that was the only option we had for getting a like going for a extra mechanic that was tied to the goal line was the dolphin jump, being able to dolphin dive over the line to try to get a touchdown, jumping higher than you normally would if you were to just dive. Having this as an addition is going to help a lot, especially on those close tackles to the goal line.
All right, let's go ahead and play here.
Offense or a defense that lives on turnovers. Stack and upgrade abilities to fit your scheme.
Okay.
That was an insane pick.
Let's watch it. Okay, so he throws it here. Okay, hold on. I want to see this play out again.
Or a defense that lives on turnovers. Stack and upgrade abilities to fit your scheme.
That wasn't that insane. I mean, he was kind of that was interesting pathing. So
Yeah.
he's throwing it to this guy right here. So they're both making a play on the ball, but it's actually going a little bit closer to the DB. So, or is that a linebacker?
Yeah.
It's probably a linebacker.
That's safety actually.
No, that's Edgerrin Cooper. That's Packers.
Oh, okay, yeah,
But yeah, like I feel like it's an inaccurate throw here because, like I see that you're leading him, but I feel like you'd want to have led that to the right here.
Forward more actually.
Yeah, or either one, but either way, away from the linebacker.
Yeah. You wanted to put that reticle on the
Stacking
the hash there. That would have been a better way to do it.
But yeah, so all right, that's interesting.
Upgrade abilities to fit your scheme. And you won't be the only one.
Okay, so here are your upgrading abilities. They got Angry Runner. What is Angry Runner? It's not Angry Runs. Increased chance of broken tackles on short pass catches. Increased chance on broken tackles on medium pass catches and on long pass catches. Okay.
It's an interesting ability to pair with. That's an interesting ability to pair with the pick that they just got.
Right.
And game plan. New AI coaches and franchise will strategize against your style, adapt to your tendencies, and exploit your blind spots on game day.
I like that.
Yeah. So if you notice, they don't say computer. They're not saying computer anymore. In previous years they would say computer opponents. They would say computer teams.
Yeah.
They have replaced that with AI. They are specifically telling you there's AI in the game that will analyze your tendencies in real time during the game and will adjust, modified by the head coaches, their own head coaches' tendencies to adjust to what you're doing. So you cannot just spam the same plays or even the same looks over and over again. You can't just run to the left side. It's not just running like inside zone over and over again. But if you're running to the left side every time you're on the right hash mark, they're going to pick up on that and they're going to adjust how they play on that. If you're throwing a specific route every time you're on third and long from, behind the 50-yard line, it's going to adjust to that.
Yeah, so, and on the inverse, if you're running like 4-3 even 6-1 same will blitz every time that you come out empty, they're going to pick up on that. If you're running like mid blitz 0 a lot to try to get looping pressure, they're going to pick up on that. If you're running cover 4 on like long down situation, they're going to pick up on that. So you're going to have to change up how you play on defense as well. You're not going to be able to rely on just running a handful of looks on defense and assuming it's going to work. You're going to have to actually like dig into your playbook during the games, lest the AI pick up what you're doing, because it's no longer is it, like you said, CPU. It's no longer programmed opponents. It's artificial intelligence that's going to analyze everything you do, and it's going to counter everything you do.
Yeah, and I mean, I expect there's going to be limits on the ability of the AI, but it's going to be pretty awesome. And
I mean, those limits will probably be tied to the difficulty you set it at. So Heisman, you're probably going to get full AI breakdown of everything you do, and then
all Madden in this case.
Yeah, all Madden. Yeah, sorry, I got college football in the brain. And all Madden, they're probably going to pick up every single thing that you do. And then in All Pro, it's probably going to be that to a lesser extent, kind of like how it used to be with the CPU opponents, where in All Madden, CPU would cheat, in All Pro they would cheat slightly less.
Right. Yeah, and the other thing, I did hear somebody who played on the Madden beta say that the AI will even adapt to, and I don't know how much to believe. I've only heard one person say this, but like after a couple times, the loop blitzes and stuff like that, the offensive line just stopped paying attention to them. And there is that new feature that you can unassign blockers from specific defenders. So
yeah, they brought that into Madden from college football as well.
Right, and apparently the AI itself is able to see when you're bringing a defender down into the box to make the offensive line think that you're blitzing and you're not, and you back off at the snap. The AI can apparently, again, I've only heard one person say this, but can adjust to that by saying, we know you're not blitzing, ignore that guy, which potentially could cut down on the ability for you to use glitch blitzes against AI as well.
So in the inverse of that, though, if they are saying that that player is not going to blitz, and you actually blitz with that player, that's an instant sack because no one's going to be trying to block him.
True, and that's why it's important to change up how you call plays, and
Right.
not just rely on the same old stuff. All right.
Play sheets.
Also, notice TNP Thursday night primetime. These are new score bugs right here.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's Thursday night primetime. I don't know what else it would be. It's always been called Thursday night football, but it's always in primetime. So
Maybe it's the national playoffs.
maybe.
New play sheets are focused sets of plays you can bring with you on game day to expand your base playbook.
Okay, I want to pause this and look at the play sheet here. Okay, so let's see. So it looks like for this, okay, this is choosing your loadout. So this is showing the play sheets that are available. And the current thing we're looking at shows 3 available play sheets. The one that's highlighted is dime play sheet. It shows the source, head coach, and it shows recommended. So I'm assuming it recommends certain play sheets for the opponent you're playing against. The active tier, so the play sheet itself isn't just extra plays. The play sheet itself is an ability because and it has the active tiers that affect specifically when you run these plays. Or okay, so here's an ability that isn't just play. So some of the abilities specifically say, plus X bonus to X ability on play sheet plays. But one of these abilities says various coverages and blitzes from multiple dime formations. So some of these abilities in the play sheets can even affect the plays you already have in your default playbook that it applies to.
I would imagine, like, when it says play sheet plays, it might also be referring to any plays that are also in your playbook that might also
I don't think so,
have
because when we
crossover
saw
with the play sheet.
I don't think so, because when we saw the play sheet tab in the play selection screen, it had each play sheet had 20 plays specifically.
Right.
So
Yeah,
I think the play sheet plays are specifically when you call one of those 20 plays. Now, maybe there's overlap in that there's, if there's let's say 7 of the plays in that particular play sheet are also in your default playbook, and then I would assume it wouldn't matter if you call it from your playbook or from the play sheet. It would still get the bonus. But
I'm curious if it gets the bonus. Like, say in the play sheet has like dime 1-4 or like cover 4, and you have that in your playbook as well. Is it going to have the same? It's going to have the crossover if you call it from your playbook rather than the play sheet, or if you have to call it off the play sheet.
It would only be the plays from that set that are in both the play sheet and your playbook.
We'll definitely see. Hopefully, this video goes over that.
Now the progression goals at the bottom for the dime play sheet: get 3 sacks in a game 3 times to get the next tier. I wonder if that changes with the tier, or if it's the same goal for every tier. I wonder if that increases or decreases. And then the downgrade, we speculated, you could lose a tier in the dime play sheet if you allow 400 yards in a game 2 times. So I'm assuming all season long, if you allow 400 games twice, or 400 yards in a game twice.
400 games twice.
Whatever. 400 yards in a game twice, then you lose a tier, which is, again, gives credence to what I was saying earlier. You want to control the clock to an extent if you're using this play sheet, because you don't want to give the ball back and even give the other team a chance to get garbage time yardage and potentially knock you back a tier.
I wonder if those tiers increase as the game goes on. If you can get a live tier increase,
I think they do. All right.
Expand your base playbook. Play sheets enhance your strategy with situational firepower, and each one upgrades through 4 tiers.
So 425 is in Madden because there was a 425 play sheet.
Well, okay, so I will say it's already in Madden, but they call it Big Nickel. It is, but
that's what I'm pointing out is that it's in as 425 now.
Yeah, when you if you went to customize your playbook in 25, you added Big Nickel. Well, in the actual game, it came up as 425 rather than Big Nickel.
All right, so what is this? Okay, so Yeah, so this is what we were speculating earlier. So Jim Harbaugh here has 5 potential play sheets, and you have to select which ones you're going to take. I think you can only take 4. So, and it looks like he has 6 slots. So I think every coach can have 6 slots for play sheets, and then you have to choose which you want to take into each game each week. And I wonder if it's head coach only, or if the coordinators themselves also bring play sheet options. So can you get 6 options from each coach and coordinator that you can choose your 4 from?
I'd imagine it's probably 2 from the head coach and then 1 from each coordinator.
Potentially.
Would be my thought on it. But yeah, I mean that is definitely interesting.
Interesting. Okay.
Unlocking player boosts tied to those plays.
I'm going to back it
Choose
up so we don't miss.
Unlocking player boosts. Play sheets enhance your strategy with situational firepower, and each one upgrades through 4 tiers. Unlocking player boosts tied to those plays. Choose from styles like run and shoot, heavy sets, or blitz heavy packages, and master a specific play sheet for maximum impact. Equip up to 4 play sheets weekly.
Up to 4. Yeah. So, okay.
Yep.
So here I think it shows all of the ones that all of your coaches bring to the table, and then you just pick 4. Because because you can sort them by available play sheets. I'm assuming there's unavailable, whatever. And then there's roles, which I'm assuming you could sort by head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. But this shows all of them, and you can select 4 from that list.
You know, this is definitely going to add another layer into like the game planning each week. Because you're going to have to plan, like, not only are you going to have to plan out like your in playbook game plan when it comes
that you might not play in the Madden franchises because this is going to take more time on a weekly basis.
It's not as much time as the recruiting, but I mean, with the notifications on the recruiting in CFB, I don't think it's going to be as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I'm just getting shit.
But yeah, no, like this specifically, like this is going to definitely add a lot more, like require more planning when it comes to each game each week, because you're not like rather than like before where you just like most people just skipped past the game planning because the recommendations were fine and nobody really paid attention to them anyway because they didn't really have a huge impact on the game. But this is definitely, especially when you come up against another player, going to add another layer of planning of like game planning when it comes to planning your game out. Because not only are you going to have to plan out like a mental play sheet when it comes to the game, but you're also going to have to plan out like the in-game play sheets as well to counter what you know of your opponent and what they like to do.
Yeah, now down here at the bottom, there's a button that you can hit Y or triangle to reset to recommended loadout. So I'm assuming it may recommend a loadout for each opponent, and then you can change it as you see fit.
Right.
Also, this is really you're gonna want to select loadouts of play sheets that fit your personal play style, because like this one, for example, to get masteries in it, you have to rush 150 yards in a game 2 times. And to downgrade, if you lose a fumble in a game 3 times, you get downgraded. You're not going to want to run that if your play style doesn't run a lot. You know what I'm saying? Because you won't upgrade the mastery. So it's going to be very important for you to not only pick the play sheets for the opponent that you're playing, but that also complement your specific play style and your personnel.
For example, like if you're the New England Patriots, you probably don't want to pick that play sheet because they're more of an air raid style offense. They run sometimes.
Last
season,
Mike Vrabel as their head coach. I think they're going to be
last season they were more of an air raid style. And this season we don't know yet, but yeah.
All right, let's back it up here.
Equip up to 4 play sheets weekly, integrating them into your play call menu for more strategic control on game day. Play sheets also make your coordinators more relevant to game.
Okay, so each coordinator also has 6 spots for their side of the ball. So the defensive coordinator's got 6 defensive play sheets. The offensive coordinator's got 6 offensive. And they also have their own progression goals. Okay.
Planning than ever. Each coordinator brings unique abilities and specialized play sheets you can equip weekly. Want to blitz a rookie QB or run a modern college scheme? Hire the coordinator with the tools to make that happen.
So
Okay, so
this is
the
definitely
hire
going.
coordinator screen.
So this is definitely going to put more emphasis on picking, like when you're picking up your coordinators. No longer is it just going to be pick a random coordinator, run with it. You're going to want to pick coordinators that fit your play style.
Well, the players that were in the know knew not to just pick random coordinators before, but that's neither here nor there. This screen looks different. So what we see here, we see the available coordinators. We can see their name, their level. It shows their archetype. So each coordinator is going to have an archetype, a coaching archetype, and it shows how many abilities they have unlocked. So this one shown is Emmanuel Ortega, level 11, offensive coordinator, archetype defensive genius, has 17 of 74 abilities unlocked, has 4 of 24 play sheets unlocked. So he can unlock 24 play sheets. He can load in 6 of them to bring to the table. And then you choose from those with your other coaches the 4 you want to take to each game. And then it's got an unlocked abilities breakdown with I forget what chart. It's not a pie chart, but it's a I don't know what it kind of a pie. I don't know what it's called, but it's the little circle like where it shows the percentage. So he's got
want to say
talent. His talent, 17 of 74 is 22% of the talents are unlocked. It shows the breakdown that 70.6% of his talents are defensive, 17.6% are development, and 11.8 are scouting focused. So you can't see the specific talents like you could in the previous years.
Right.
This is like college where you can't see, you can see sort of the areas that they're invested in, but you can't see their specific talents till you hire them. I'm sorry, go ahead. I wasn't trying to interrupt you. I was just trying to finish that.
Oh no, you're good. I was just gonna say I think that's called technically a pie. I think that's still called a pie chart.
Is it still a pie chart?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Right. Run a modern college scheme? Hire the coordinator with the tools to make that happen. Wear and tear and franchise adds a new personnel challenge to your weekly routine. And we're giving you the tools to best manage player usage during the season.
Oh, that's a familiar site for you.
It's gonna be one for you.
New dynamic injury statuses can change after each.
Okay, so what is this? Is this the wear and tear screen? Is this the training recap screen? Okay, so this is after your weekly training. Interesting. So your weekly training is also going to impact your wear and tear recovery and injury recovery. So it shows the each player, their position, their name, their status. These ones all say healthy. It shows the XP they got from the training. It shows their wear and tear levels that carry over from week to week and through practice. It shows their wear and tear risk area. So some of the ones shown here are right ankle, right hand, left ankle, right arm, etc. And then it shows if they have an injury. Now this said something. So when we paused, something about injury. Hold on.
New dynamic injury statuses can change after each week's training. Rest players to protect them or push them and risk a setback that may keep them sidelined on game day.
Okay, I'm concerned about this because the full pads and half pads thing in previous years was the progressive fatigue, and it did not work right. It glitched out your depth chart for the entire season if you had it on. So yeah. I'm hoping that whatever glitch that was that made that system not work, if they're implementing the full pads, half pads, all that stuff from that system into the wear and tear system, that it doesn't glitch the wear and tear system.
I am not a huge fan, as has been stated before, of the wear and tear system. But although I do agree that having that active during the each week's practice, I me personally, I don't believe in having that active for the practice because you shouldn't get penalized for practicing with your team. I understand that the realism is that sometimes players can get hurt and can get injured in practice. You know that better than most with JJ.
He didn't
But
get hurt in practice. What are you talking about?
it was off season. It doesn't matter. Anyway, I do not
It
believe
was the
that
preseason in a game.
that was still off season. It was off season
It's
game,
not off
preseason game,
season.
whatever.
It's
It's whatever.
literally called
It's
preseason.
semantics. It does not matter. The fact is, he got injured before the season. That's what matters. Anyway, I do not like. I don't. Me personally, I don't like the idea of like. I personally in my leagues would have like practice injury off so people couldn't get injured during practice. That's just me because I don't like the fact that you practicing with your team gets hindered by the fact that players get injured on a game. I understand the realism is that could potentially happen during practice. It's happened throughout every team in the league has had people get injured in practice and been out for like a couple early season games or even like a whole season. But I do like the addition of it for those who like the simulation realism style. It is, I mean, we did have it kind of before, but like you said, it was glitched out to where, like, if you did half pads, full pads, it would mess up your depth chart going forward into the season. But I don't like, I like, I do, it's gonna, hopefully they fix that so it actually works the way it's supposed to. I don't think I will take advantage of this feature because I think I'm just going to have practice injuries off.
I don't think that. Okay, hold on. This is two different things. I think that we're talking about practice injuries. I agree having that off, but I don't think that's what this is. I think what this is. No. Hear me out. I think what this is. We're talking about two different things. Being able to be injured during a practice is 100% turn that off. But I think what this is you can choose for each position group how hard they go in practice to manage the wear and tear from the previous week carryover and going into the next game. So like Chris Jones here is at 3 bars. If you wanted to try to heal him more going into the next game, then you would put him at half pads or rest and not practice. And that can increase the healing from the wear and tear from week to week, and you can manage that in the weekly training. I think the injury part that we saw on the previous screen was what he's talking about because he just mentioned dynamic injuries. I'm willing to bet this is showing so that you don't have to go to the medical report to see if that player has an injury because an injured player can still get XP from training from practices. It's usually at a lesser rate. But I'm also thinking because he mentioned dynamic injury statuses that they can change after each week's training. I'm wondering if that means that like a player can come off of injury early or
if you rest him.
Right. If you rest him or depending on the level of your trainer and your trainer's abilities, it can show where someone comes off of an injury that week as well in the weekly training report.
Okay.
So, but you might be right, but to me, this sounds like a completely different thing than practice injuries. Now,
right, and I mean,
I fall on that. It is realistic. I'm okay with it, with practice injury being on or off. My concern is if practice injury being on means that a player could get injured doing your weekly drills and or free practice, then turn that off right now. If they can't, even if with it on, I'm okay either way.
Yeah, because I mean, with it on, if the injuries only happen like during the simulation part of the training, if they still do that, then I mean maybe, but I'd still want to have it off just because I don't see it as being fun just to get injured for something you can't control.
No, and I can agree with that, and I would probably err on the side of turn it off. But again, I think this is not what that is. So
right, yeah. And as for this, hopefully they did fix, like you said, hopefully they did fix that glitch with the half pads, full pads thing, and it's actually working the way it's supposed to.
I kind of enjoyed the half pads, full pads, rest mechanic but it was 100% tied to fatigue in the previous games, and I kind of liked it. I just didn't like the glitch that happened where it made it so that after 1 or 2 plays, your entire starting lineup came out and you could not put them back in.
Yeah, and although it looks like this is going to be tied to wear and tear, so it looks like that with it being tied to wear and tear, that would mean that risk of injury is going to be a lot higher depending on if you do
Well,
full pads or half pads.
But remember, wear and tear is not an injury system. They've said that multiple times. It's a getting banged up during the game, but it's not another injury system.
Well, right, but the lower your wear and tear, the more at risk for injury you are.
Yeah, but I don't think it's tied that closely together. But all right, let's keep going.
Can change after each week's training. Rest players to protect them or push them and risk a setback that may keep them sidelined on game day. All new trainer abilities can help reduce wear and tear and help your players recover faster. Control your team's practice intensity, oversee player development, and find recovery for your superstars, especially as the season wears on.
Okay, so confirmed. Trainer abilities can not only reduce the impact of wear and tear, but can increase or decrease the time that players coming back off of injury. So if normally if they would be out, 6 weeks, maybe they come back at 4 weeks if you have certain abilities, and that was what it was talking about in the weekly training. So
the new Coach Central Hub is your home base and an overview of your franchise's details.
Okay, this looks similar, different background, but the menu looks the same. There's this GM's office is now a tab, but everything else looks pretty much similar. There's 6 tabs up here with the right stick where there was 4 before. So that's
they got OTAs on there now.
OTAs?
Yeah, storylines, rookie OTAs.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, that's just the storyline. It's just new storylines.
Well, right.
I'm assuming that they've expanded the storylines and stuff.
Yeah. Hopefully they made them more dynamic than just
I'm guessing that's the coaching staff. They just changed to Coach Central.
Yeah, that's what I'm
GM's
assuming.
offices, though. I guess before you had manage roster and manage team, I'm assuming either GM's office is manage roster, or they changed manage roster to manage team, and now the GM's office that used to be manage team. So I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe I think GM's office might have to deal with the relocation and the rebuilding your field, and I'm assuming managed team is probably your managed roster.
Also, right here, one of the top stories is talking about the weather forecast. So we know weather is going to be a big deal in the new Madden game overall. So now it's going to be part of the top stories. Are going to sort of foreshadow the upcoming forecast. Also, I want to say there's some new shading here on the logos, on the Vikings logo in particular. These shadows right here on the horns, that's noticeable to me. So I'm assuming that the coloration and shadowing on the stuff is going to increase. And I wonder if that's because this is the first year that that Madden's not going to be available on the previous gen consoles. So there might be somewhat of a graphics increase.
Well, we've seen some of the gameplay footage, and it looks like slightly upgraded, but pretty similar to the previous.
Yeah, I'm not expecting huge jumps, but little things like this.
Yeah, I'm more looking forward to the animation changes myself.
All right, let's see.
You and upgrade your staff abilities and play sheets and keep track of your new coach approval rating. As the leader of an NFL franchise, everyone's watching, and your choices carry weight. Your approval rating ultimately determines your job security. Build enough goodwill, and you might just survive a tough season. Rich Eisen's iconic voice guides you through the defining moments of your NFL coaching journey.
A change he's just made to the lineup will surprise plenty of people. So much so that even some in his own building have questions.
Eisen's commentary reacts dynamically to your unique path, shaping a personalized narrative that makes every franchise experience feel different. In Madden 26, every week will feel like a unique challenge.
There's the weather.
You'll face weather as an adversary, from heavy snow to pounding rain that can reshape how you game.
Nope.
And for the first time ever,
see that weather again.
So much
dynamically as experience every week with
Lichemax.
You'll face weather as an adversary, from heavy snow to pounding rain.
Yep. Look at that right there. That is the new. This is what the weather system is going to look like. This is a whiteout blizzard game, and can you see where the pass is actually going if you didn't have any of the on-screen visuals?
Well, and imagine the trying to, in the moment, in that 5 seconds after the snap, trying to track where everyone's at and aim your pass. Like, this is going to be crazy. I love it. Personally, I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely
going
to help.
Not getting it in college football this year, I'm hoping that we get it next year.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this is definitely going to help slow down some of those people that like to just air it out every game. Because, like, in this kind of a game, like this whiteout snow style of a game, you probably don't want to do what this guy's doing. And as a result, you see what happens. He gets picked off because you can't see your receivers very well. Like, if you didn't have the overlays, you don't know where that pass is going. And it looks like they didn't aim it very well either because it ended up getting picked off. So, like, definitely, like, the weather is going to play a big part in the game, and you're going to have to pay attention to that when it comes to your game planning each week.
Well, and it's not just a visual thing either. It literally affects your ratings. It affects your players' abilities. It even affects like they'll slip more when they try to change direction, when they try to juke or something like that.
Yeah,
they'll slip. They'll lose footing off the line more. Stuff like that. So it's. I personally love it. I think it's great.
It's good. It's going to be insane. That's for sure.
You'll face weather as an adversary, from heavy snow to pounding rain that can reshape how you game plan. And for the first time ever, Thursday, Sunday, and Monday night games each deliver a distinct look, sound, and feel with authentic primetime broadcast packages.
Okay,
a true NFL Sunday games each deliver a distinct look, sound, and feel with authentic primetime broadcast packages. A true NFL Sunday isn't complete without a recap of the week's highlights. And who better than Scott Hansen to host Madden's all-new franchise halftime highlights and weekly recap show. Welcome in.
Halftime highlights, but also a weekly recap show.
That is a lot better than what we have right now.
I want to say back in like the late 2000s, early 2010s, we had like a highlight show thing that would play after each week advance.
Yeah, I like
the halftime.
Sorry, go ahead.
I like the new edition of the halftime show because like the current one we have is just like it's boring, you know.
Well,
it just kind of highlights
all new, but I don't know what the all new means.
Right, yeah. So hopefully it's like from what they've been saying, hopefully it's something actually all new and not just like slightly tweaked. But we'll see.
So confirmed, we do have more mascots. This is the Dolphins mascot. Yeah. I honestly could not tell you what teams have mascots in the NFL, but okay, that's cool.
Scott Hansen to host Madden's all-new franchise halftime highlights and weekly recap show.
Welcome in, everyone, to the Halftime Report. Dare I say, ladies and gentlemen, the witching hour is almost upon us, so let's get after it.
Build your coaching legacy and take control with new abilities, play sheets, weekly strategy, and more.
Okay, hold on. Improved draft logic. Okay, these are the core improvements.
Yep.
Improved draft logic. So we hopefully won't have a team with like a 90 overall, 27-year-old quarterback drafting a quarterback in the top 5 of the draft or some crap anymore.
I mean, I still would because that's an old quarterback.
Unique draft prospects. Improved team needs logic. Improved sim stats. I wonder if that means that they've changed how we were talking about this the other night. The logic on the sims and what like how the sims were so closely tied to playbooks. I wonder if that means they've changed it. Revamped player tag logic. So that's got to be like the day one starter, the franchise quarterback, the bridge quarterback.
Hopefully that means that like players can develop into a mentor as well. So it might give you a reason to keep them on the team.
Well, they could before, but it was always when they were like 35 and 38 years old. And better dev trait regression logic. Great, because I usually turn that off because it seemed random as hell.
Right.
EA Sports Madden NFL 26. Pre-order the MVP bundle to get 3-day early access.
Okay, that's the end of the video.
Right, so thoughts on the trailer before we jump into the.
A lot of the stuff they went over is stuff that I was hoping to see in the game, like the like a lot of the improvements they've made to like the logic of the game. The wear and tear, like I've said before, I'm not too fond of. But for those people who like that, like the sim style and the more realism style, it's gonna be a net benefit to them to see that stuff like coming to Madden, and hopefully they've improved it from year one of college football 25, because like that, like a lot of the times the wear and tear there seem to be just kind of off a little bit through the season. So hopefully they've done some improvements to that to make it more manageable. Which, I mean, with the addition of the trainer slot on your staff, that's going to really help mitigate a lot of the issues that we've seen. And especially with the abilities that you can get with your trainer, that's going to definitely, uh, like, that would definitely, like, in my eyes, being someone who doesn't like wear and tear, that would definitely make it manageable to me, seeing that we have a way to actually manage it outside of just uh, changing sitting players for games on end just because their wear and tear is a little too high. So
Yeah, and I'm going to assume that Madden's going to implement the same wear and tear sliders that college has this year too. So
yeah, and on top of that, like the new play sheet mechanic, I think is going to be interesting to see how it's going to work when it comes down when the game releases, because that's one thing I'm a huge fan of adding more tools to your tool belt when it comes to game day, being able to game plan and have like extra options in your back pocket when it comes to getting the pulling out a victory when like stuff that you're normally used to using isn't working. You can always switch to your play sheet and see if one of those might be able to pull get you a good surprise off the snap on your opponent.
right. All right, let's jump into this. We're already an hour in, so let's go through this. I'm going to go ahead and read through it like we have the other ones. This video will probably go long as well because it is the franchise mode. The same, it's the Madden counterpart to Dynasty mode. We'll try to go through it and comment on it. But let's just read the little foreword here. It says, our development team is incredibly passionate about franchise mode. We're longtime fans just like you, and we've poured that passion into every part of this year's update. For Madden NFL 26, we focused on three major areas to bring you the most comprehensive improvements yet. Our goal was to make franchise deeper, more dynamic, and more true to the NFL experience. First, we want you to feel like a real NFL head coach every single week, all season long, whether it's building your staff, adjusting your strategy, or preparing for your next opponent. Your decisions will matter more than ever. Second, we focused on making sure every game feels different, from AI behavior and player traits to weather effects and opponent tendencies. Each matchup should feel unique and bring new challenges to the table. And finally, we know you want every week to feel different. You want Monday nights to feel special. You want to feel the shift in atmosphere when the calendar flips to December. You want to see what's going on around the league via halftime shows and a weekly recap. I feel like these are like two halves of the same point. That should have just been one.
Yeah.
We're delivering all of that this year. Before we get into the new features, I want to talk to you about our number one priority. We want screens to load quicker, thank God.
Thank
we
God.
definitely know you want them to load quicker. We spent a lot of time early in our development cycle focusing on how quickly our screens load. We agree that they felt sluggish and wanted to make sure we addressed that right away. We've spent a lot of time tracking the loading speed and fixing issues related to that. It may not be the most exciting change to the mode this year, but we know you'll appreciate it, and it should definitely improve your experience. Now let's kick things off with your all-new coaching experience. In order to make sure your coach feels like you, they need to look the part. Custom Coaches got a massive overhaul with 200 new heads to choose from when creating your coach. So this is basically implementing the college football AI-generated coaching heads. I think in college we got 400. This is just with a Madden flair.
So on that, real quick, you know what I don't understand? Why they don't implement like the customization to the faces?
Like,
Because
I feel like
I don't
know.
know.
Like, you can't have a bald coach in college. Why can't? There's a ton of bald coaches. Why can't we have a bald coach?
Right, like if I want to blind the opponent's quarterback during pre-snap, I want to be able to do that with my bald ass coach.
Oil up the head and everything. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
hit it
So
with some turtle wax and some
pause.
buffing, you know.
Okay. There's also a ton of new gear exclusively for custom coaches, with more than 50 new shirts, 15 pants, and 40 shoes. Why the slacking on the pants? Come on now. You can make 30,000 combinations to wear on the sideline. Here we've got, looks like a denim jacket over a button-up shirt and jeans with sneakers. We got a sleeveless shirt with a red team shirt underneath of it, and khakis with tennis shoes. Looks like the same thing here, but with a dress shirt, long sleeve shirt and tie underneath, black khakis and tennis shoes. Okay, this guy has dress shoes on. This guy's got a starter jacket and hoodie on with some shorts. This guy's got a rolled up long sleeve team shirt and khakis.
That's called the Dan Campbell.
Right. And then this got a zip up jacket with some khakis and dress shoes. That's seems a little random.
You can't contain the forearms of Dan Campbell into a long sleeve shirt. You got to roll them bitches up.
Why not just wear a t-shirt? You're in a dome. Calm down, bro. All right.
Because no one tells Dan Campbell what to do.
From a shirt and tie and slacks to a sleeveless shirt and shorts, you can bring your own style to the field every week and change it up each game if you want.
Oh, that's awesome.
Every archetype in Madden NFL 26 will fall under one of the three distinct archetypes: offensive guru, defensive genius, and development wizard. As a creative coach, choosing your archetype will be the first decision you make and will impact how you evolve and develop as a coach. This choice will dictate not only the abilities you start with, but also the abilities you will unlock as you progress in your career. As an offensive guru, the entire unlock path will consist of offensive-minded abilities, and the same goes for the defensive genius, where its unlock path will be centered around defensive-minded abilities. As a development wizard, the unlock path will primarily be a mix of off-the-field abilities and gameplay abilities. All existing coaches will also fall under one of these three archetypes, and the abilities they possess will be tailored to match their real-life counterparts. When it comes to coach progression, each coach now has a level from 1 to 50. If you create a coach, you'll begin at level 1. As your career advances and you reach higher levels, you'll unlock new abilities and ability slots. We'll talk more about these later. To level up, you'll need to earn Coach XP. There are a few ways to earn it, but the main method is through completing goals. In addition to season and career milestone goals, we've added in-game goals. These let you and your coordinators earn XP weekly based on what happens during your games. After each week, you'll see a summary of your completed goals, how much XP. This was all in the last game. I don't know why they're acting like that's new. There were always in-game goals that gave you Coach XP or staff points. So I guess
with staff points. The change is the fact
XP, but
the change is that your coach now levels up. You don't just get coach points forever. Right. You now have a set end point for your coach from 1 to 50. So now, rather than you just getting coach points every week, your coach levels up, kind of like what happens in college football, which I think that's kind of interesting. That's definitely a big change when it comes to the franchise mode, because before you could just set basically be done with your coach by like the third season and have all of the your entire coach tree filled out along with your personnel tree, and then just if you change coordinators, you'd have to go back through to your coordinators. But typically by like season 3, your coach is done.
Right. Now, apparently the guy that wrote this has a little bit of a sense of humor. Okay, so new to Madden 26 are coach abilities. Coach abilities have been built to reflect the authentic skills, traits, and characteristics displayed by the NFL coaches on a weekly basis. Abilities are split into two types: game day abilities and season abilities. Game day abilities do exactly what the name suggests. They impact your team directly during games and influence gameplay in unique ways. We've made a focused effort to ensure these abilities do more than just boost attributes. They're designed to affect actual gameplay moments and interactions. That said, if you're the kind of player who likes to give a specific position group a stat boost before a game, don't worry. There are still coach abilities that offer traditional attribute increases. When it comes to game day abilities, there will be 46 different abilities at launch. You mean
at launch?
Don't start this early. Don't start this early in this. Come on now. Okay, first of all, the fact that it says there will be 46 different abilities at launch kind of indicates there's going to be content updates for this throughout the year. Because otherwise, it would just say there will be 46 different abilities.
Yeah, so I'd imagine they're probably gonna add them as the actual NFL season goes on, right. Which I mean that's pretty cool.
So it says including 22 offensive and 24 defensive abilities. Utilize the trimmed edges ability to give your offensive tackles an increased chance to win against various pass rush moves. Equip the sure hands ability to give your receivers a higher chance of catching passes or counter it defensively with Mr. Dream, which gives your defenders an increased chance of knocking potential catches loose. Or if you're looking for a game-changing hit, equip my personal favorite ability, Hitimus, to give your defenders a higher hit stick timing window and increased chances of forcing fumbles. Here's
Pause real quick. So I love.
It's not a video.
No, I'm telling you to pause real quick because I want to. That ability name, Hitimus Stickamus. You know they got some comedians over there on the Madden
I'm not
development
gonna lie,
staff.
that's a pretty cool name.
Like that, I would even if that's not what it did, I would still equip it just to say, hey, I just got you with Hitimus Stickamus.
I may name my coach Hitimus Stickamus. I may end up naming my coach that just because it's awesome.
That is just a fantastic name for an ability. Anyway, continue. Sorry.
Here's a preview of some more game day abilities that we will be delivering in that Madden NFL 26. So some of the ones they give us: Dr. Dots. This increases pass accuracy on passes 10 yards or less with Tier 1, Tier 2 on passes up to 20 yards downfield, Tier 3 on passes 30 yards and beyond. Tier 4 QBs are immune to pressure effects.
I love these ability names so much.
An example of some of the coaches with this ability: Andy Reid, Sean McVay, Zach Taylor, and Mike McDaniel. Another ability: Interior Dominating. Tier 1, slightly increased success chance against power moves for interior offensive line. Slightly increased chance against finesse moves for interior offensive line. And then significantly increased chances for both with Tier 3 and 4. Coaches with this ability: Nick Sirianni, Jim Harbaugh, Kyle Shanahan, and Shane Steichen. Passing Paranoia. Tier 1 increases pressure effects on QBs inside the pocket. Tier 2, same thing outside the pocket. Tier 3, reduced chance of broken sacks. Tier 4, increased chance of strip sacks and fumbles on sacks. I like this ability. Coaches with this ability: Mike Tomlin, Jonathan Gannon, Sean McDermott, and Todd Bowles. As a D-line player, I love these abilities. Sheddables. Tier 1, increased success against double team on run blocks. Tier 2, quick block shed moves are more successful. Increased success against double team run. Okay, so this is a defensive ability. So for block shedding, basically.
Yeah.
Tier 3, power block shed moves are more successful. Tier 4, significant block shed success for all defensive linemen. Coaches with this ability: Mike Tomlin, Mike McDonald, Mike Vrabel, Dan Quinn. Shout out Mike McDonald, former Michigan defensive coordinator. When it comes to season abilities, there will be 28 at launch. See, you got it right there. At launch. Thank you. And they are tailored to off-the-field aspects of franchise mode and will be heavily based around player progression, scouting, and building your staff. Looking to fast-track the development of your players? Use one of the many practitioner abilities to gain increased amount of training XP. Need a leg up on the upcoming draft? Equip the Scouts Honor ability to hire more Tier 3 scouts, or the Stud Finder ability to gain scouting percentage boosts on all quarterback prospects. Here are a few more examples of some season abilities. So the first one it shows is Head of the Class. Coaching staff earns more XP, 10, 20, 30, 50. Coaches with this ability: Mike Tomlin, Mike McDonald, Mike Vrabel, Dan Quinn. Fit Finder reduces archetype unlock on prospects 15%, 10%, and 5%. So you get to learn the archetype earlier. Tier 4, you immediately know the prospect's archetype. Coaches with this ability: Sean McVay, Jim Harbaugh, shout out Jim Harbaugh, Dan Campbell, and Nick Sirianni. Tiers and ability progression. Every coach ability in Madden NFL 26 consists of 4 tiers. As an ability progresses tiers, the effects of the previous tiers stack, and the ability becomes more powerful. Abilities can be progressed in 2 different ways: upgrade goals and staff points. So you can either increase the tiers with the upgrade goals that we saw in the screenshots earlier, or you can purchase the next tier with staff points. So staff points are still a thing.
Yeah.
Each tier of a game day ability will have an upgrade goal, and completing the goal will unlock the next tier and its effect. However, it goes both ways. Part of becoming a great NFL coach is not only building a team that can be successful, but the other, arguably more important part, is sustaining that success. When designing this feature, we wanted to ensure that the replayability was high and that there wasn't a distinct ceiling where you could no longer progress as a coach. Enter knockout and mastery goals. Each tier of an ability has both an upgrade goal and a knockout goal. The upgrade goal helps move the ability up to the next tier, while the knockout goal can do the opposite. If the knockout goal is completed before the upgrade goal, the ability will drop to a lower tier. For example, if an ability is at tier 1 and its knockout goal is met first, the ability will be removed completely and must be repurchased to unlock it again. This reflects how coaches evolve throughout their careers, trying new strategies and adapting. Ultimately, their success on the field shapes how they're judged. That's the idea behind knockout goals. If you can't turn an ability into real in-game success, it may be downgraded or lost. Lastly, there's the final part of the progression system, mastery goals. Once you upgrade an ability to tier 4, the upgrade goals shift into mastery goals. Each tier has its own mastery goal. When a mastery goal is completed, that tier becomes permanent. So if you finish the tier 1 mastery goal, tier 1 of that ability is yours forever and can't be lost. If you complete the tier 4 mastery goal, the ability becomes fully mastered and can never regress or be removed. So this is interesting. So it's not just 4 tiers, it's really 8 tiers. It's tier 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then it's tier 1 permanent, tier 2 permanent, tier 3 permanent, tier 4 permanent.
I like that. It definitely makes it to where you have to stick to the your game plan. You have to, when you're making your game plan, you have to take these abilities in mind if you're planning on using them. You got to take them in mind when it comes to planning out your what your game plan is going to be coming into that game for that week, or even like multiple weeks, because you're gonna have to take each week you're gonna have to take it into account the abilities you plan on using.
I wonder if the masteries can be purchased or not. I wonder if you can only use staff points up to the masteries, or if you can use them on the masteries as well. All right. Upgrade, knockout, and mastery goals will come in 2 types: game goals and cumulative goals. Game goals are things you can achieve in a single game. For example, an upgrade goal might be get 4 passing touchdowns in a game, while the knockout goal could be allow 5 sacks in a game. On the other hand, cumulative goals track progress over time. For example, an upgrade goal could be pass for 300 yards in a game twice, while the knockout goal might be allow 3 sacks in a game 3 times. Progress on cumulative goals carries across weeks and seasons, and only resets when an upgrade or knockout condition is triggered. So when you upgrade a tier, any progress you have on the knockout goal gets reset.
That's interesting.
All right. Weekly strategy, build the perfect game plan. The weekly strategy part of franchise mode has been completely redesigned with a big focus on coach abilities. During development, we set out to fix one of the biggest issues with the old coach talent system. It didn't put enough weight on actual strategy. In the NFL, it's not just about how many tools a coach has, it's about how they use those tools to solve the challenge in front of them. Our goal with the new weekly strategy was to capture that chess match and make each decision matter more than ever. When you first jump in, you'll notice 3 different types of loadouts: a staff loadout, a play sheet loadout, and a trainer loadout. Think of the staff loadout as your weekly game plan. It consists of up to 6 slots, and the number of available slots depends on your coach level. A well-established coach like Andy Reid will start with all 6 slots unlocked, while a creative coach begins with just 3. Each slot can be filled with either a game day or season ability from any member on your staff. At the start of each week, your loadout will be automatically filled with suggested abilities based on how your team matches up with that week's opponent. If you have a strong run game, you'll likely see more run-based abilities recommended to help take advantage. If your defense has weak spots and you're up against someone like Patrick Mahomes, you'll probably see more pass rush and coverage-focused abilities. These suggestions are designed to give you a helpful starting point, but ultimately it's up to you to choose how to prepare. You can adjust your loadout however you like each week. So this is a little bit interesting. So first of all, with what we speculated earlier, it's what I was saying, that you have the potential abilities from all 3 coaches, and then you can choose any 6 from those that you want to take out each week. But this is actually interesting here. So the recommendations in previous iterations of the game would have been based solely, and the recommendations it gave you as far as your game plan were based solely on your opponent's tendencies. This is going to combine your personal play call tendencies as well as your roster makeup, strengths, and weaknesses, along with your opponent's tendencies and roster strengths and weaknesses, to determine what it recommends to you each week. So that's
So
interesting.
it's definitely gonna be a point to look at what the recommendation is, because it seems like now like the recommendation isn't just like gonna be something that may not work against a particular player, but it recommends it anyway because of the player's tendencies. But it's gonna take into account like how you like to play, along with like all of the other factors. So it's definitely worth looking at the what their recommendations are. On top of that, when it comes to like people like franchise commissioners, like the fact that the these game plans are going to have a lot of impact on each game. It's going to put a little bit more emphasis on perhaps like mandating across the board the use of created coaches or the use of real coaches rather than allowing like either or. So like especially since like some like it said, Andy Reid is going to have all 6 slots open, whereas the created coach may not. So like for people who like to run their own online franchises with other people, you may want to take that into consideration before allowing like both to exist in the same franchise, because like a coach like Andy
I think
Reid
it's definitely
is going to
like
have
you have to decide if you're going to allow players to take over current coaches or mandate that everyone create a new coach.
yeah, because like coaches like Andy Reid are gonna have a huge leg up on a created coach named like Jim Bob. You know, it's just it's gonna mean that you're gonna want to look into the pros and cons of perhaps having both coexist or just doing one or the other.
Right. No, I agree with you. All right. So I'm sorry. Let me find where I was. Okay. So on the right side of the weekly strategy screen, you'll see a matchup panel that breaks down how your team compares to your opponent in various areas, along with the impact your abilities are having. You'll also find a set of scouting cards that highlight key opposing players, current injuries, individual and position group matchups, and even a breakdown of the opponent's coaches and their top abilities, giving you insight into how they might game plan against you. A few additional things to consider when filling out your staff loadout. For the staff and play sheet loadouts, you can use any ability from your head coach, offensive or defensive coordinators. The upgrade, KO, and mastery goals mentioned above will only be active if an ability is equipped in the loadout for that week. Gotcha. So, in this case, if you're playing against a pass-happy opponent this week, you may not want to equip an ability that would be downgraded if you allow 400 passing yards in a game, because it won't, even if you do, it won't count towards the downgrade unless it's an active ability that you carry into the game.
Right.
So that's interesting.
So, and we know a particular player who we definitely wouldn't want to have that ability active on.
Right.
A couple, actually.
Right. All right. So while game day abilities can be used interchangeably week to week, season abilities will differ and be unique in that they must be used for a certain period of time. When equipping a season ability, that ability and its effects will become locked into your loadout for a certain period of time upon the completion of weekly strategy. This creates an additional layer of strategy based on your team makeup, upcoming schedule, and more. If you're a rebuilding team or headed into an easier stretch of games, you may be able to sacrifice game day abilities in lieu of trying to get a leg up on the draft via scouting abilities. To avoid potential exploits, some season talents that are scouting and focus player related will not take effect until the weekly what following when they are equipped. It just says until the weekly following when they are equipped. Come on, EA.
Week following when they are equipped is what I'm assuming.
Possibly, but come on.
Unless they mean the weekly scouting report, but I think they mean the week following.
My first thought was the week following, but then it was like, well, do they mean the weekly training the following week? Whatever. Anyway,
I think they mean the week following when they are equipped, or the fall. Yeah.
That's what I think too. We'll see. Anyways, coordinators finally matter. As crucial as head coaches are, their coordinators play an equally vital role in a team's success. If you're an offensive-minded coach, your defensive coordinator essentially becomes the head coach of your defense. The reverse is true for defensive specialists. Coaches like Sean McVay, Todd Bowles, and Andy Reid are known for focusing on one side of the ball and leaning heavily on their coordinators to lead the other. That's exactly what we aim to reflect when assigning abilities to coordinators. If you're an offensive guru, your only access to defensive abilities will come from your defensive coordinator, making them a key part of your weekly strategy. You can go all in on offense and try to win every game in a shootout, but as the saying goes, defense wins championships. A strong defensive coordinator gives you more tools, better options, and greater impact. The same logic applies to defensive masterminds. Offense is still necessary to win games, and a skilled offensive coordinator could be what separates a good season from a deep playoff run. We've built teams with this mindset, making coordinators more important than ever. You'll see a variety of coordinators, some experienced veterans with more and high-tier abilities, and others who are younger with fewer lower-tier abilities that improve as they develop. As a head coach, you'll need to think strategically about how to use your coordinators to cover your own weaknesses and balance your team. Just like head coaches, coordinators have their own set of in-game goals that reward Coach XP when completed. Their abilities can progress, regress, and even be mastered, adding another layer to your team's growth and success. Play sheets have been mentioned a few times already, and you're probably asking yourself, what exactly is a play sheet? Real quick, before we get into the play sheets, I'm curious if they, based on the changes that they've made to the coordinators, if they have retained the Madden ability to manually upgrade your coordinator's abilities or changed it to the college format where you do not get to choose how your coordinators progress.
Right,
Because
but I'd imagine
that'll make a difference when you're hiring coordinators. Because if you can manually upgrade their abilities, then you might want to go for younger, inexperienced coaches or coordinators so that you can build them up the way you want. But
right.
if you can't, then you may want to focus on the more experienced ones with more talent already unlocked.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's definitely going to be something we're going to have to look into. Hopefully, they. I don't know if they're going to cover it or not, but I mean, yeah, that is something that you may have to take into account if you don't have the ability to manually upgrade your coordinators. It's something you're probably going to want to look at is looking at the more experienced ones, or if you want like a challenge, you might want to look into. Then you could go with like a younger one and have them develop under your head coach and see what kind of coach they become.
Now, I'm going to be honest here. Maybe I'm just an old curmudgeon at this point, and I don't like change, but I don't like this new score bug on Madden. I don't really care for the new one in college either, and I don't like this one compared to the one.
Well, I mean, from what we've seen, it looks like it changes depending on the type of game you're in too.
Yeah,
like you got the Friday night score bug, the Thursday night score bug, and the Saturday and Sunday night score bug.
No. Come on, man. Thursday, Sunday, and Monday. Come on now.
Whatever.
All right. Think of play sheets as mini playbooks you can bring into a game to expand your base offensive and defensive playbook. From the emergence of the Wildcat in 2008 to Andy Reid breaking out Rose Bowl right Parade in Super Bowl 54.
Was that the Super Bowl that they got demolished in?
I don't remember. For years, we've seen NFL coaches bring unique concepts to game day. That was a huge inspiration behind this feature. Play sheets are treated just like game day and season abilities in that they will also have 4 tiers. The first tier simply unlocks the play sheet, while all subsequent tiers provide attribute boosts to your players while running those plays in-game. Play sheets also follow the same progression model that coach abilities do. Each play sheet tier will have an upgrade and knockout condition that controls how it progresses or regresses. Play sheet abilities can also be mastered. Here are a few examples of some play sheets you can utilize in Madden NFL 26. You know what would be cool? Personally, as I've mentioned to you before, I would like to see them normalize the playbooks and the available plays between Madden and college. But if they're dead set on keeping specific like college-only formations and plays, it would be cool that if you're not going to add them in to allow them to be in actual NFL playbooks or in custom playbooks, maybe have some play sheets that are the only way to access some college-style formations and plays in
Yeah.
Madden. that you can't access them otherwise. That you can only access them through those play sheets.
Right. Yeah, that would be kind of cool. That would also be pretty interesting too.
All right, so some examples of the play sheets. It shows the West Coast play sheet based on the classic scheme that rose to prominence in the 1980s. The West Coast play sheet focuses on ball control, rhythm, and high percentage passing concepts, and features a myriad of runs and passes from near and far formations. Tier 2 gives you +3 pass block power, and pass block finesse for all offensive linemen. Tier 3 gives +3 short route running and catching traffic for all wide receivers and tight ends. And Tier 4 gives +5 short accuracy for all quarterbacks for when running those plays. Coaches with this play sheet: Andy Reid, Kyle Shanahan, Jim Harbaugh, Matt LaFleur. Wide empty play sheet. Utilizing 5 wide receivers in every inch of the field, the 5 wide play sheet will spread the defense out to the max, stressing defensive backs and forcing them to cover every blade of grass. Tier 2 gives +3 to short route running and medium route running for all receivers. Tier 3 +3 catching traffic for all receivers. Tier 4 +3 medium accuracy for all quarterbacks, and +5 pass block finesse, and pass block power for offensive linemen. Coaches with this play sheet: why does Andy Reid have every single fucking play sheet and ability? Like, why? But also Jim Harbaugh, Kevin O'Connell, and Kellen Moore. Run and shoot. Another classic scheme popularized in the late 80s and early 90s. The run and shoot play sheet features both the pistol, trips option, and single back spread formations, nicknamed the Lonesome Polecat. Why the hell is it called the Lonesome Polecat? What? This play sheet focuses heavily on spreading defenses out using a halfback and 4 wide receivers. Tier 2 gives +3 pass block and run block for all offensive linemen. Tier 3 gives +3 short route running and catching traffic for all receivers and tight ends. Tier 4 +3 short accuracy for all quarterbacks. So it seems like the offensive play sheets, it's receivers and offensive linemen in the early tiers and quarterbacks in Tier 4. Coaches with this play sheet: Sean McVay, Shane Steichen, Brian Callahan, and Kellen Moore. Heavy sets play sheet tip the scales with the heavy sets play sheet. Run heavy set of plays out of formations like split T, shotgun, heavy Maryland I. Maryland I is in Madden now. Maybe what I just mentioned, they did. Maybe you can only access the Maryland I through the play sheet. That'll be interesting. And the power I. If you're looking to pound the rock and grind teams out, this is the play sheet for you.
I wonder if they added in goal line heavy as well.
Maybe. +3 carry and break tackle for all running backs, which include fullbacks. Tier 3 +3 run block finesse, and run block power for tight ends. Tier 4 gives +7 run block finesse, and run block power for all offensive linemen. Coaches with this play sheet: Dan Campbell, Jim Harbaugh, Nick Sirianni, Kevin Stefanski. Batch O Blitzes play sheet. I like that. Batch O Blitzes.
That's going to be my favorite play sheet I can imagine.
Not batch of blitzes. Batch O
blitzes.
Put the pressure on offensive units with a play sheet featuring various blitzes from 4-3, 4-2-5 over, G, nickel 3-3, and nickel 2-4 double mug. Sounds like a great play sheet.
Yeah.
As mentioned earlier, just like you have a staff loadout set each week. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't say what those gave. My bad. The tiers. Tier 3 of the Batch O Blitzes gives +3 finesse moves to all edge rushers and defensive tackles. Tier 3 gives +3 power moves to all edge rushers and defensive tackles. Tier 4 gives +3 finesse moves and power moves to all linebackers and defensive backs. Coaches with this play sheet: Mike McDonald, Todd Bowles, Aaron Glenn, and Raheem Morris.
You know, they haven't really spoke on it, but like, if you create a coach, do you get to choose what play sheets they get?
I assume the play sheets that are available are either all of them are available to be unlocked for all coaches, or it's determined by your archetype.
Right. So I mean, like because they've stated like what coaches have what play sheets, but I'm curious on the created side. Right. So hopefully that's something that they did, is you just get to choose the play sheets that you can.
Yeah, I think I would guess it's probably that all of them are available to all coaches to unlock, but it is possible that they could be tied to the archetype
locked. Yeah.
All right. So, as mentioned earlier, just like you have a staff loadout for each set to set each week, you'll also have a play sheet loadout to configure. The play sheet loadout includes 4 slots, and the number of available slots depends on your coach level. The play sheet you equip here, equip here will carry into the game and work alongside your base offensive and defensive playbooks. During the game, your selected play sheet formations and plays will be smoothly integrated into the play calling menu. You'll also see a dedicated play sheets tab within that menu. So I'm assuming that means they can show up in the AI controlled coach suggestions now.
Yeah.
This tab will show all the specific play sheets you brought into the game, allowing you to quickly access any of your play sheet plays organized by their play sheet. Additionally, you'll be able to view the active play sheet tiers along with a full statistical breakdown showing how well each play sheet play has performed in actual gameplay. Managing your staff. With abilities now extending to your coordinator and trainer, managing your staff has never been more important. From the Coach Central Hub, more on that soon, you'll get a full view of what each staff member brings to your team. Track their goals to level them up or view their abilities to see how they can impact your team on game day. You can also spend staff points to unlock abilities earlier, allowing you to shape your staff to fit your exact strategy. If your current staff doesn't match your vision for the franchise, you can head into the coach carousel to find someone who does. At certain points during the season, you'll also be able to fire your staff and browse available replacements. To help guide those decisions, a new metric called job security has been added for all coordinators. This value updates based on how your team is performing and whether the offense or defense is trending up or down. A higher value means more stability, while a lower value might suggest you might want to consider a change at the next opportunity. It's not just you making these moves. Computer teams will be using the same mechanics to build their own NFL dynasties. Everything described here is part of their decision making too. That means your top coordinators might be hired away for head coaching jobs. Nothing's guaranteed. The computer is playing by the same rules, using the same data and chasing the same goal, building a winner. Coach Central Plus approval rating. With so much new content for staff, it needed a home. Coach Central is the hub for your entire coaching staff and their abilities, play sheets, and progression. So here it shows up in the top right corner for Mike Tomlin approval ratings that has a rating of good and has a percentage of 79% in this screenshot. From the overview tab, you'll get a quick snapshot of your coach and staff. You can check their unlocked abilities, edit your custom coach, and view both your coordinators' job securities and your own approval rating, a new way to track how you're performing as a head coach. Strong relationships are essential to being a leader in the NFL. Your approval rating reflects how well you manage key groups, the GM, coaching staff, players, and fans and the media. Each week, their opinions shift based on how your team performs. If you're winning, your rating goes up. If things go poorly, expect it to drop. This system gives you a real-time view of where you stand as a head coach. At the end of each season, coaches are judged based on their approval rating. The same rules apply to both user and CPU coaches. If your rating is too low and your support is weak, you might find yourself out of a job. If you do hang on, your approval rating carries into future seasons. A rough year can put you on the hot seat, forcing you to bounce back and rebuild trust with those key groups the following season. In the Abilities and Play Sheets tab, you'll find everything available to you and your staff. Unlocked items are organized into categories: offensive, defensive, and for abilities specifically, progression, staff building, and scouting. You'll be able to see which abilities and play sheets you've unlocked, what tier they're at, and your current progress toward their upgrade or downgrade goals. You can also use staff points to skip upgrade goals. Keep in mind, mastery goals can't be bypassed. Those still require success on the field. So that answers my earlier question, that you can purchase the first 4 tiers, but you cannot purchase the mastery of those 4 tiers. The upcoming and locked sections show abilities and play sheets that you don't own yet. You can still preview and purchase them with staff points. Upcoming abilities are part of a staff member's unlock path, meaning they'll earn them as they level up. Locked abilities, on the other hand, won't unlock naturally. If you want early access to an upcoming ability or want to give your coach or coordinator more variety, you can spend staff points to unlock it and make your staff more unique. Lastly, the Goals tab shows you how to earn the XP and staff points needed to grow your coaching staff in-game and seasonal goals. To grow your coaching staff. In-game and seasonal goals provide short-term and long-term targets to hit. If you're a head coach, there's also a narrative goals tab that tracks the promises that you've made in your coach storylines. These affect your approval rating and play a role in shaping your coach's personal storylines. Coach storylines. Your story
Here we
begins on
go.
day one. As a new coach, your journey kicks off with an opening interview, giving you the chance to shape your first chapter. This is where you set the tone, defining who you are and how you plan to leave your mark. From there, your story unfolds. The impact of your staff, their abilities, and how different groups view your performance all play a role in your path forward. For instance, coordinators may approach you with their game day strategy. If you dismiss their input or make poor choices, their trust in your leadership may decline. But if things go well, they can earn XP and even unlock or upgrade their abilities. When things are going your way,
I was going to say, so it does sound like they're built like the coordinators are like how they seem in college football, where they upgrade on their own by that statement. Because it sounds like their abilities upgrade alongside yours, but not like by direct input, if that makes sense.
personally, I like that.
Yeah, I mean that's really cool. Because I mean, realistically, like where it is cool to be able to control the way that they develop. On the other hand, you're not controlling them; you're controlling the head coach. So
Right.
why are you dictating how the coordinators improve? You know,
Right.
it's not like as a head coach you can say, "Hey, you need to get better at running your defense." I don't know many coordinators that would be like, "Hey, that sounds like a good idea."
So
Most of them would be like, "Hey, how about you just let me do my thing, you do your thing." You know?
no, I agree with you. But so here I think and this is a sort of the middle ground that I thought they should have used in college. I don't necessarily want manual progression as an option. I would prefer to keep the auto route for college and Madden, and I would even implement this for both coordinators and players in both games. If you put my feet to the fire, I might hesitate with changing the player progression in Madden just because it's established. But
Right.
I would like the idea that they upgrade on their own, but you can sort of steer it, not
Right.
decide it, but steer it. So, like, for example, with an offensive coordinator, if you wanted him to focus on abilities that improve the passing game, or or specifically the short yard passing game, or the running
Yeah.
game, vertical or horizontal running game, you could set that. He would still choose which talents to take, and based on
Right.
his approval of you, maybe he or maybe not, he listens to you. But I would like you to be able to sort of direct him as the head coach, say, hey, this is where I want to see you improve, but not
Yeah.
be able to choose his abilities for him. And same
Right.
thing with
Yeah.
players. I'd like, the players, hey, work on your pass blocking. Whether the player chooses pass block finesse, pass block power, whether they choose their speed and excel off the line, whether they choose to go for abilities that help, like that's up to them. But I should be able to say, hey, focus on this area.
Which I mean, in the Madden 25 storylines, they did have something similar to that, but it didn't like increase their abilities, like their what they have. Mainly, what it did is add to like the stat you wanted them to increase. Like for example, like one of the storylines gave the option of like like what they should focus on, and if you chose like focus on like say run block finesse for the defensive line, then your defensive tackles got a plus. I think the max was like +5 to defense. No, sorry, offensive line got like a bonus to like +5 pass block finesse. You know.
Right. All right. So where was I? Okay. So when
Fourth
things are going
paragraph.
your way, morale stays high and the experience is positive. But if support starts to fade, the tone shifts, and players might hold meetings without involving you, and the media won't hold back. It's up to you to handle each situation, not just to win on the field, but to build a franchise where every member of your organization feels empowered to contribute to a winning culture. Facing off against an AI quarterback in Madden NFL 26 is going to feel different than it has in the past. The gameplay team has completely re-engineered how AI players behave on the field by introducing a brand new system of player traits. At launch, Madden NFL, again, here's that at launch and the number that they begin with. Madden NFL 26 will debut 50 unique player traits designed to capture the decision-making logic behind CPU-controlled athletes. These traits don't affect gameplay outcomes directly. Instead, they shape how individual AI players respond to game situations, helping them feel more distinct and true to life in their playstyles. Each trait is rooted in authentic NFL data to ensure authentic behavior you see every week in the NFL. For example, Josh Allen is assigned the run over trait, making him inclined to power through tackles instead of sliding or stepping out of bounds while scrambling. This is backed by the fact that over the past 2 seasons, Allen has led the league with 54% of his scrambles resulting in 3+ yards after contact. So I like that, but I also have a concern. Okay. I would hope, like, it makes sense in most cases, right? Like, if it's just a random scramble 2 minutes into the second quarter and he has to choose between sliding or trying to truck an opponent, makes sense for him to choose to truck the opponent because he has that trait. However, I hope the traits don't override smart QB play. And what I mean by that is if the game is on the line and you got less than 30 seconds on the clock and you're 20 yards away from the goal line and he has to scramble out of the pocket and you need to stop the clock, that he doesn't choose to try to truck a defender instead of stepping out of bounds to stop the clock.
Right, yeah. I mean, the way it makes it sound like he's more apt to truck through to keep going rather than try to get out of bounds. But with the addition of the AI in AI logic, I mean, I could see where the AI would determine what the best play for that situation is.
Right.
So,
and I hope it does. I just hope the traits don't override like smart QB play.
But like maybe at that situation, like if they got 20 yards to go and he scrambles out of the pocket, like maybe a smart with like what the route's looking like to the end zone, it might make more sense to truck through if there's nobody behind the person he's trying to truck through. If like it's a one-on-one to get to the end zone, then I could see like the AI determining that trucking would be the optimal choice. But if there's more than if it's not a 1v1, then I could see him just jumping out of bounds, you know. But I mean, again, it's going to come down to like how the AI is going to respond in that kind of a situation.
Right. Give me 1 second. I'll respond to something that's kind of important.
Oh.
Okay. So, all right. When we generate draft prospects, they'll all have these new traits too. While the spotlight this year is on quarterbacks, the trait system applies across all positions and will continue to grow beyond launch. Every week, you'll have to game plan for players that have these special traits. Derrick Henry, Isaiah Pacheco, Justin Jefferson, and yes, Saquon Barkley. Okay.
It's Saquon?
Hold on a second. I know it's Saquon. But listen,
I know
you're a fan of Pacheco, but I have got to say that one of these things is not like the other. Listen, Pacheco is a good player. But
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a fan.
One of the best running backs of all time. Justin Jefferson, one of the best wide receivers of all time. Saquon Barkley, one of the best running backs, if not of all time, in the league right now today. And Isaiah Pacheco, a pretty good player.
So to clarify, I am a fan of him in Madden because of what I was able to do with him. I am not a fan of him in the NFL. I am more of a fan of Jahmyr Gibbs Jahmyr Gibbs than I am of Saquon Barkley, or not
but
Saquon,
but here, and this is no
Isaiah
disrespect
Pacheco.
to Isaiah Pacheco in case he ever sees this. I think you're a good player. I'm just saying you got 3 literal generational players and a pretty good player.
I think they put him on there because the Chiefs have back-to-back Super Bowls under their belt, and he's had 3 back-to-back Super Bowl appearances.
Maybe, but anyways, it says,
I think that's the only reason why he's on there.
Twice a year. Here are some of the franchises team's favorite traits. So I remember seeing these traits when they did the Madden franchise or Madden deep dive itself, the Madden gameplay deep dive.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I really noticed, not all of these traits are positive. There are positive and negative ones, and ones that can be positive or negative depending on the situation, which I really like. It's not just a system of bonuses. It's good and bad traits. So just to go over some of them here. Look for the stars. Prioritizes star receivers when choosing targets. Risk taker. Favors deep throws and tight windows. And a single player or quarterback in most of these cases can have multiple of these. Snap mischief. Uses fake hikes frequently, especially in short yardage plays. Seeing ghost. Why they threw Sam Darnold under the bus so much with this? Because they called it seeing ghosts because in an interview when he was a rookie quarterback after a particularly bad game, he told reporters that he's seeing ghosts out there, and it's become like this meme joke of him in the last few years. And now Madden has made a negative ability called seeing ghosts. Like that's kind of messed up, EA. But
That's
seeing
great.
ghosts after a sack tends to lock on to the first read for the next 3 plays. Quick trigger checks down quickly instead of waiting for routes to develop. Panic button, more prone to forcing throws under pressure. Double back, scrambles away from the sideline to extend plays. Eyes up, keeps eyes downfield when approaching the line of scrimmage. Hero ball, tries to scramble for a first down when possible. Quick clock, tends to leave the pocket after making the first read. Paranoid, overreacts to pressure even when it's light. Oblivious, stays calm even when surrounded by defenders. Anchored. See, oblivious doesn't sound like a good name, but that's actually kind of a good trait.
Yeah.
Anchored, rarely leaves the pocket or scrambles. Throw it up, targets outside receivers in high-risk, deep scenarios. Big hitter, frequently attempts hit-stick tackles. Punch it out, goes for strip tackles. Run over, favors trucking, QBs avoid sliding. Strong, so run over sounds like it could be on running backs or QBs.
Yeah.
Strong arm, uses stiff arms. QBs with this trait don't slide.
That's kind of
Whirlwind.
concerning.
Right? Whirlwind, leans on spin moves. Elusive instinct, uses jukes more often. And fortifier, audibles into max protection when sensing pressure. Now, this is not an all inclusive list. These were just some of the favorites of the staff.
Right.
It says this new trait framework adds depth and personality to every player, helping bridge the gap between CPU and human competition. Whether you're going head-to-head with an AI QB or building your game plan around your opponent's most dangerous player this week, the system ensures every player plays like you would expect them to. Opposing coach DNA and real-time coaching AI. One of the most exciting ways we're bringing the personality and style of the NFL to life in franchise mode is through the introduction of Coach DNA. This feature captures the distinct strategies and behaviors of every NFL head coach, making each matchup feel more authentic and unpredictable. Gone are the days of exploiting repetitive CPU play calling. Now success demands real preparation, adaptation, and a deep understanding of your opponent's coaching philosophy. At the heart of this innovation is data-driven coaching, a powerful new system built directly from nearly a decade of real NFL data. We've trained a machine learning model on years of play calling tendencies across the league. Isn't that the process that they cause artificial intelligent robots to go insane?
I mean, that's one way people have done it, yeah.
Giving rise to a predictive engine that mirrors how actual coaches make decisions in the heat of the moment. I'm just envisioning that like 7 months into the game, the AI model in game goes nuts.
I mean, if you really want an AI model to go nuts, show them the games of Notre Dame since 1988.
I was thinking that that the AI model in Madden goes nuts with all the biased ref calls for the Chiefs.
And then like before then, if they showed him like
Because
the
it says this goes off of real NFL data, so
yeah, so like that yeah, I could see the AI going insane off of like the biased ref calling to the Chiefs and also the biased ref calling of the Patriots during the Brady era.
So all right, so let's see, where was I? It allows you to step into a true to life simulation and wonder, what play would Andy Reid call here? How would Dan Campbell handle this fourth down? Madden now answers those questions with strategic depth. That's always the answer.
The first answer is go for it, like every time.
This
Like,
model powers
fourth and 100. What should we do? Go for it. I don't know about that.
This model powers not only the AI's in-game decisions, but also the revamped coach suggestion system. It dynamically adjusts recommendations based on contextual factors like down and distance, score, time remaining, field position, personnel on the field, timeouts, and even weather conditions. Each CPU-controlled team now calls plays with a personality that reflects its real-life counterpart. You'll notice the Lions under Dan Campbell playing aggressively and taking fourth down risks, while the Eagles under Nick Sirianni lean into RPOs and zone reads to complement Jalen Hurts' strengths. Now, I wonder, does this change if let's say Nick Sirianni is your coach, but Jalen Hurts is not your quarterback? Does it?
I would imagine it would change.
Nick Sirianni's play calling preferences based on the quarterback, or does it change? Does it go with, is Jalen Hurts' strengths coded into Nick Sirianni's preferences?
Well, I mean, if you think about it, I don't think Jalen Hurts has been there the entire tenure of Nick Sirianni, so they have to have data from before Jalen Hurts was the quarterback to know kind of like what he does when he doesn't have a quarterback like Jalen Hurts, you know?
Right. All right, so even your own play calling experience will reflect this evolution. While browsing the coach suggestions, you'll be shown what the real-life head coach would likely call in that same situation, giving you a chance to test your instincts against theirs and sharpen your strategic edge.
I like that.
Real-time coaching, well, yeah, but you're not going to be playing with Dan Campbell. You're going to be playing your own coach.
Maybe.
Real-time coaching AI, also referred to as RTC, also significantly advances Madden 26's schematic depth by providing players with an authentic NFL strategic experience that dynamically evolves throughout each game. Defenses can now disguise their intentions through delayed safety rotations, pre-play defensive front adjustments, and precisely timed blitz packages. This evolution forces players to carefully read and react post-snap. Detailed NFL coach archetypes further amplify this realism, closely monitoring the strategic philosophies of actual NFL defensive coordinators. Teams like the Vikings and Chiefs aggressively pressure quarterbacks through blitz-heavy schemes and disrupting pass rushing techniques. Other teams like to disguise coverages, like the Eagles that primarily play defense from a too-high coverage shell, or the Steelers that operate from a one-high look. AI-controlled teams will be utilizing diverse personnel groupings, blitz adjustments, and disguises to create confusion at the line of scrimmage. With the dynamic nature of the RTC system, every game you play should feel more rewarding and strategic, while displaying the signature identity of the team you're playing against each week. Again, I ask, does the team identity change if the coach changes? Wear and tear
I would
system.
imagine, but I would imagine.
This is going to be your favorite section.
No.
Madden fans, get ready. We're introducing a brand new feature that brings even more depth and excitement to your franchise experience. This year, we've overhauled the injury system, making how you manage your team more strategic and unpredictable than ever before. Madden NFL 26 adds a new feature called Wear and Tear, a system that tracks every hit a player takes in a game and accumulates those impacts. Did they just copy and paste this from last year's college update?
It looks like it, yeah.
Accumulates those impacts across the season. It's designed to reflect real-life player health, forcing you to manage workloads realistically, relying too heavily on a few players like giving Derrick Henry 40 carries or running Lamar Jackson 30 times.
This is word for word.
Inspired by ideas from the college football team, Wear and Tear launches with dynamic subs, letting you
literally word for word
during pre-play and full slider customization for franchise mode. The only thing they changed was the players that they quoted here as Derrick Henry and Lamar
Yeah,
Jackson.
and instead of dynasty mode, it's franchise mode, which
Yeah.
is literally word for word.
All right.
I guess if it ain't broke, don't fix it, you know?
So real quick, this screenshot here showing the training and practice. It looks very similar. The it does have the 3 and then unlockable 6 slots for focus players like before to do your skills.
I do wonder how we
challenges
get
each week.
those now.
But at the top, instead of being able to change your weekly goal, it has the half pads, full pads, rest option there.
Well, yeah, I mean, they had that before, but
your 3 most at-risk players. I'm assuming it's 3 most. It could be more. Maybe this just only has 3 at-risk players, but I think it's 3 because these 3 players are not at risk at all. So, and then it shows active. I'm assuming the active trainer specific abilities.
yeah,
And you can also access free practice from this screen too.
that's cool.
All right, so after each game, players recover some health, but not always fully, especially if they accumulated a lot of wear and tear in last week's game. Early in the season, this might not be noticeable, but as the season goes on, wear and tear builds up, making players' management more important if you want a healthier squad for the playoffs. Don't expect to win back-to-back Super Bowls with Saquon Barkley at 60% health. Spread the touches during the season to keep stars fresh and help backups develop. In the past, injuries also came with a fixed number of weeks for recovery. That's gone. Now, when a player gets injured, you'll see a range of weeks instead of a set duration. This adds suspense and forces you to make more thoughtful decisions as the season unfolds. Longer injuries will show broader recovery windows at first, but as time passes, that range becomes more precise. This mirrors how real-life recovery works and adds another layer of a realism to your franchise experience. The system keeps you engaged all season long, helping you play better as you gain clearer information week by week.
So with this edition, those people who like to run your starters all game, every game, you might want to rethink that strategy. You might want to start looking into like rotating your players out throughout the game, like you do in college. Because if you, with the wear and tear system, if you just run your starters ragged, you're going to end up with just running like your third stringers when it comes to the playoffs, if you even make it that far. And so you're really going to have to pay attention to the health of your players throughout the season in a franchise.
Right. All right. So dynamic injury status. Injuries also now behave more realistically with statuses that evolve over time based on various factors. A player's condition might improve or get worse week to week. This change builds on the existing weekly strategy and training system, adding a new layer of unpredictability to player availability. So that player that got injured in week 7 that you thought might be back for the season might have real-time setbacks, and you might as you get close to the playoffs, it might look like he's not coming back till the NFC Championship game or even the Super Bowl if you were to make it to
right.
And that happens in real life, so I like that. Wear and tear directly affects our new weekly player statuses, which are out, doubtful, or questionable before simulating training for the week. You'll see each player's current status. Players who are questionable or doubtful have a chance of being ruled out after training if you don't let them rest. Now you can rest players individually instead of only adjusting training by position group. This allows more strategic decisions, whether to sit a star or keep them in full pads. After training, you'll immediately see updated statuses and XP gains. You'll also see a player status update, and you'll get the final word on whether they can go this week or not. So before you do your training, you want to look and see if you have any players that are questionable or doubtful. And if they are, you want to put them to rest for that week for training.
Yeah.
If you put them at rest, they get 0 XP. If they're questionable but you really need them that week, you put them at half pads or rest. If they really need the experience, you could do half pads. They'll get some experience, but not as much as full pads, and they will get some rest, but not as much if they were to fully rest.
Right.
Or you go full pads for the full XP.
Yeah, or if you really just don't want to play them that week and you just want them to get experience and just full send them,
Right. Trainer role and abilities. Don't worry, we're giving you more tools and support to help manage wear and tear. Your trainer plays a key role in keeping your team healthy through trainer abilities. These abilities can boost how much players recover each week, lower the chance of in-game injuries, and improve the odds that injured players will be cleared to play. Just like coach abilities, you'll choose which trainer abilities to activate each week in weekly strategy, whether it's during practice or on game day. Your trainer helps you make smarter choices to protect your roster. You'll now have more control than ever over player health. Decisions like how hard you train and when to give players rest days will have lasting effects. Having the right trainer on staff can be the difference between a healthy lineup or a team battling injuries all season long. Our new wear and tear injury and health management system adds real consequences to every decision, bringing more realism, immersion, and depth to franchise mode. Every game, practice, and rest day counts, and the choices you make will impact not just your season, but your entire organization for years to come. All right, new broadcast packages. We're thrilled to finally give our players the experience of 3 primetime broadcast packages in addition to our new Madden package. Each of the primetime packages is composed of premium assets with a different look, sound, and feel for Thursday, Sunday, and Monday night games. The inclusion of 4 different broadcast packages is beneficial for the variety of sights and sounds you'll see and hear as you play from season to season. For example, you'll immediately notice the score bug is as one of many visual elements with distinct look for each package. We've also included custom broadcast graphics for pre-games, drive starters, and touchdowns. There's also package-specific wipes for players and teams. So here you can see a screenshot of the for Monday night primetime, Sunday night primetime. One of our favorite.
Yeah, about Thursday night. Before we continue, one thing I'm curious of. So they said they added in like some premium broadcast packages. I wonder if they did anything special for the Super Bowl halftime.
Probably.
So that's something I think we've been missing for a couple years now. Is like a special event to happen during the Madden halftime show. You know, it's always just been the same thing that we've seen throughout the entirety of the season in franchise, and I really want to see them do something special with that.
All right, so it says one of our one of our favorite things we created for each broadcast package is an NFL bumper that precedes a game. The stunning visuals and authentic music are complemented by the Super Bowl's annual PA announcer, Al Roach. When you hear Al say, EA Sports welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League, you know it's almost game time. Last year, we introduced 3 commentary teams. This year, we assigned each one to a primetime package. Thursday night, we'll have Brandon Gaudin and Charles Davis. Sunday night, we'll have Mike Tirico and Greg Olsen. Monday night, we'll have Kate Scott and Brock Heward. As you make your way through a season, what you hear about a QB taking the field from Greg Olsen's perspective will be different from the games assigned to Brock Heward or Charles Davis. For non-primetime games, the commentary team will be chosen at random. One of the most memorable and distinct elements of our primetime packages are the theme songs. We composed a specific version for each one of them. Our custom audio elements are also delivered in the details, like the specific sound designs you'll hear for the various banners and wipes. We think you'll agree our broadcast packages are worthy additions to the NFL lexicon of sights and sounds. And here it's got a screenshot that I'll try to enhance it here that shows. Wait, that went way too far. Hold on. That shows the different score bug presentation for the primetime games, each of the primetime games. So here we've got I'm assuming this is the Madden one. This is Monday night primetime. I assume this one in the lower left is Sunday night primetime. And the one bottom right is Thursday night primetime. So each score bug's a little bit different. The one up top in the top left is just the default Madden one.
Right. Yeah, I do like the different presentations. It definitely adds a little bit more of a cleaner aesthetic when it comes to each type of game that you play in.
Whoa. Okay, listen to this. Halftime report. The wait for highlights from other games is almost over. You'll see highlights from across the league in the halftime report, bringing the world around you to life in franchise mode. It doesn't end with CPU highlights. For the first time in any NFL video game, you'll also see your friends' highlights appear at halftime in
Let's
a multi-user
go!
online league. When a friend's highlight is chosen for the show, their customized player card will appear on screen. If it's a highlight from a game with 2 other players in your online league, you'll see each of their player cards. One of the most exciting elements of our halftime report is the host, Scott Hansen, who could be better to speak about games around the league than the beloved host. So literally, you could be playing your league game and at halftime see highlights from my game.
Yeah, if you have any.
That's awesome. Of course I have some. I'm most likely going to have JJ McCarthy. So of course there will be highlights.
I don't know, man. He might just end up breaking his leg again.
Yeah, that only Aiden Hutchinson does that. All right. You might have wanted to pick a different wording there. All right. So Scott's energy and enthusiasm for football elevates the experience as he brings context to matchups throughout the season. A personal hey, and shout out to Aiden Hutchinson. You're my second favorite player in the league. I just had to use it to jab at my friend here. Scott's energy and enthusiasm for football elevates the experience as he brings context to matchups throughout the season. A personal favorite is when he calls out National Tight Ends Day in Week 8 when a touchdown is scored by, you guessed it, a tight end. Additionally, our broadcast package theme songs serve as the foundation throughout the halftime show, giving the experience an epic feel. Weekly recap. We extended our ability to show CPU highlights in the halftime report to our weekly recap. This new feature is available on demand in the Franchise Hub as a way to experience highlights from across the league. Just like the halftime report, the weekly recap will also include highlights from other players in your multi-user online league. You'll also get to see your own highlights as well. It's our way of bringing sights to the stats. Scott Hansen also hosts the weekly recap, sharing insights from matchups across the league. Early in the season, you'll hear details mentioned such as a first-year head coach notching the first win of his NFL career. Midway through a season, Scott will call out the teams that are extending win streaks, identify the squads trying to bounce back, and call attention to the matchups with playoff implications. As the calendar reaches December, you'll hear about the teams clinching spots in the postseason and the others already looking ahead to next year. You'll see the weekly recap becomes available in the Franchise Hub after you complete your first game of the regular season. That's awesome. So when we advance the week, everyone, when they log in the first time, can hit that and get like a visual recap of the highlights from other players' games the previous week.
See, that's pretty awesome. I love that presentation. Before, it was just so boring. You just log in and bam, there's your
Right.
next week's screen. Now we're gonna actually have something to actually check out in between, before we start doing our current week tasks before we start our game. That's pretty sweet.
Right.
Now
Now
we're on to
your other
the
favorite
weather.
part, the football weather.
The weather.
Wear and tear and football weather, your favorite parts of this new game. NFL weather is a legendary part of NFL mythology. It can completely change the game, adding variety, unpredictability, and challenge every single week. In franchise mode, we fine-tune the weather in every city from Buffalo to Miami to Seattle, so you'll experience the kinds of conditions you'd expect in real life. Whether it's a sunny day in LA or a snowstorm in Green Bay, the weather will feel authentic to each location.
See what they did there.
Right. We've reworked everything from average temperatures to precipitation rates. If you're heading to Buffalo in January, it'll feel just as tough as it does in real life. So I wondered, is it just going to snow every game in Buffalo in December?
I hope
This
not.
year-
'Cause, you didn't always have snow games in Buffalo in December. The field was snowy occasionally, but it wasn't always a whiteout blizzard.
This year, weather isn't just a visual feature. It's deeply woven into gameplay. We've completely overhauled how the weather looks and how it plays. Every existing weather condition has been enhanced, and we've added brand new dynamic environments like heavy snow with fog or intense rain with fog. When the weather shifts, your strategy needs to as well. Dense fog will reduce visibility, making it so. Does that mean it can shift literally mid-game?
I am actually curious about that. If that is the case, that would be pretty interesting.
Like it can be like a dense fog, snowy game for the first half. Then you come out of halftime and it's clear but snowy.
Right.
That'd be cool. Anyways,
Yeah.
Making it tougher to read the on the field and execute passes. Just like it would challenge a real NFL quarterback, slippery conditions impact every player. Receivers might stumble off the line. Linemen and defenders can lose footing during explosive plays, and quick cuts might not land cleanly. All of this is tied directly to a player's change of direction rating and the strength of the precipitation. Weather isn't just a backdrop, it's a game changer. Prepare for an experience that will test your skills and ability to adapt to your strategy to conquer the unpredictable elements. Rain, snow, and wind will test your skills like never before. Watch as speed, acceleration, or change of direction are put to the test. Just like real-life athletes facing tough weather, kicking and throwing becomes high stakes, with power and accuracy potentially compromised by the conditions. You'll witness more dramatic moments when catching or running the ball, including fumbles, broken tackles, and sliding hits, all influenced by player ratings and how well a team can adapt to that kind of climate. Get ready for some wild and unpredictable action. That's right. Climate familiarity now plays a role. Teams used to cold weather, such as Buffalo, Chicago, Green Bay, Cleveland, and Philadelphia, will perform better in the snow, experiencing far fewer penalties to movement and traction. In contrast, warm weather teams like Miami, Jacksonville, Los Angeles, and San Francisco will have a tougher time in icy conditions. But when it's scorching hot, those same cold weather teams will fatigue more quickly, while heat acclimated squads maintain their stamina longer. Now, I still have the same question I had about this, because this does not, so all of the teams it names from the cold weather teams are all open air stadiums. Same thing for the hot weather teams. What about the teams that play in a dome? What I mean by this is Green Bay plays in an open air stadium. So obviously they are cold environment, right? Like they live in the cold.
Right.
They function in the cold. They
Right, but
play
for
in the
example,
cold. But
for
Minnesota
example-
or Detroit are in the same climate, but they play in a dome. So do they get the same bonuses if they were to go to Green Bay or Chicago and play in the cold? Do they
Or
get
they- or-
do they get
or
the
do they
same
just get
negatives as a warm air team like LA or one of
Right.
the southern teams,
Or-
Jacksonville, or do they
Right.
just get like a lessened version of both because they aren't from a warm weather climate, but they also play in a dome, and vice versa
Right.
for the heat related strengths or bonuses and drawbacks? How does a dome team that is from one or the other acclimate to that? Like, how is that factored in? Because if this said instead of Cleveland said Minnesota, okay, that answers the question. If it instead of San Francisco said Arizona, that would answer the question. But did they intentionally not mention a dome team? How does that work?
I mean, that's something we'll probably figure out once the game launches.
Yeah, I'd like them to tell us, but
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
All of this is powered by a major upgrade to our weather simulation engine. Precipitation is now dynamic and can vary throughout the game. Wind patterns behave more realistically, adding another layer of depth to your kicking and passing decisions. Every game with weather will feel different with its own unique challenges. In Madden 26, franchise weather is no longer just a part of the scenery, it's a real opponent. You'll need to be ready for it and find ways to overcome it.
Yeah, that answers one of your questions you had if it were changed mid-game.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But how drastically? Like, it just mentioned lessen. Like, the rain could lessen or the fog could lessen. But can you go from a fog game to a clear weather? Can you go from rain to nothing? I don't know.
I mean, I would imagine
you go from rain to snow because it got colder? Who knows?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if we'd... I guess it would depend on the time of year and where you're playing if it goes from rain to snow.
Okay. Now we're getting into some core changes here. All right. So core improvements. Improved draft logic. Let's dive into the updates we've made to draft logic. This year we spent a lot of time for sim players. This is awesome. This year we spent a lot of time analyzing real NFL draft trends from the past 2 years. Our goal was to identify patterns we could replicate to make the draft in Madden feel more realistic than ever. One of the biggest trends we noticed is how much NFL teams are investing in the trenches, especially on the interior defensive line. You'll see more offensive and defensive linemen being drafted across the board, just like we've seen in recent real-life drafts. Another clear pattern was how some teams chose to double down at certain positions. Instead of just taking one quarterback or wide receiver, they would draft multiple players at the same spot. It's a strategic move to increase the odds of landing a true difference maker, and now that logic is reflected in franchise. Teams that need a cornerback or wide receiver won't hesitate to grab 2 or 3 if they're looking to build depth and find a star. Obviously, we don't want teams to do this with positions like QB, but for positions where they need a lot of depth to handle wear and tear, they can and will take multiple players at the same position. We also saw a shift in how teams are valuing running backs. After years of avoiding them in the early rounds, the last couple of drafts have shown a renewed appreciation for the position. In Madden, you'll now see teams more willing to take a running back earlier than they did in Madden 25. It's a subtle but important change that better reflects today's NFL. Beyond that, we've adjusted the value of other key positions as well, from Sam and Will linebackers to safeties, cornerbacks, and edge rushers. We've tuned their importance in the draft process to better mirror how modern NFL teams build their rosters. Overall, these rosters Overall, these updates bring a deeper layer of realism and strategy to the draft. You'll notice smarter decisions, better roster building, and more authentic team behavior throughout franchise mode. New draft prospect generators. One of the biggest improvements we've made to the draft prospect generator this year is the way we've assigned traits to new players. Every draft prospect now comes with carefully selected traits, making each one feel truly unique. This adds more variety and personality to the rookies you draft, and we can't wait to see how they perform on the field in your franchise. We also know how much fans look forward to the unique draft generators each year. So for Madden NFL 26, we've added even more. Without giving too much away, you'll notice new types of players entering the draft pool. That includes exciting gadget players, dedicated long snappers, specialized Sam and Will linebackers, and some rare one-of-a-kind tight ends, running backs, and safeties that are sure to stand out. And that's not all. We've added other rare and unique player types too, but we'll leave those for you to discover. So I'm assuming when they say the one-of-a-kind tight ends, running backs, and safeties, they're talking about like the gadget style players.
That would be my assumption, but they also, and then they also added in another archetype that apparently is a secret archetype.
Right. Or multiple ones, it seems like. It says,
Right.
let us know when you start spotting those new hidden gems. We're looking forward to seeing who becomes your next franchise star. Retirement logic. When tuning retirement logic this year, we focused on 3 main goals. First, we wanted to prevent star players like Derrick Henry from retiring too early. In past versions, players like him could walk away after just one season, even if they were still performing at a high level in their early 30s. That didn't feel right. In reality, Henry just signed a new deal with the Ravens and clearly isn't slowing down anytime soon. Second, we found that the old retirement system put too much emphasis on a player's percentile ranking at their position rather than their actual overall rating. That led to some really good players being forced into retirement too early just because they weren't in the absolute top tier at their position. We've adjusted this so that that high-performing veterans have a better shot at sticking around if they're still producing on the field. Hitman, right? Hitman.
Absolutely. Like 9 times out of 10 in a 25 league, he would just retire after like one. You might get two seasons out of him before he retired, but more often than not, he'd be out the first season. And then you have players like Jason, like Kelsey, who would
Travis
be
Kelce, who'd be a
Travis.
69 overall, still there at 39 years old.
Right, yeah, which makes no sense.
It says, and finally, we noticed a rare edge case where a very small percentage of players could slip through the cracks of our retirement logic. These players, Kelsey, could stick around longer than intended, even if they were past typical retirement age or no longer playing at a high level. This happened because the logic allowed them to bypass the normal retirement checks based on a combination of age and percentile standing. With these updates, retirement decisions in Madden NFL 26 will feel more realistic, better reflect real-world player careers, and keep your franchise experience grounded in authentic NFL logic season after season. The one thing that I worry about with this is the older players like Derrick Henry, like Harrison Smith, who are X Factor, because they gain an experience at a higher level because of their X Factor, and even some superstar. You could potentially take somebody like Harrison Smith, for example, because I've actually done this in the game, and this would make it even more prevalent. If you set him as a focus player and get good stats with him throughout the season, he gets a lot of experience. You can almost offset his regression completely with experience and keep him at a high level in perpetuity.
Right, yeah.
So,
But I mean, a lot of times it's all right just to let him go, because you can usually in the draft get somebody who's going to end up being even better than Hitman Harrison Smith.
maybe, but I mean, if you can keep him at a high 80 to low 90 overall with X Factor and playing at a high level, it's like, does this new logic make it so that he's gonna, you could play 15 more years with him?
I mean, it's something we can definitely see about.
All right, progression and regression logic. Player regression now follows real-life aging curves more closely, with decline rates based on actual NFL data by position. For example, wide receivers will now stay in their prime longer than running backs, just like in real life. The timing of decline now better matches how different positions age over time in the NFL. One big change is to development trait regression. In the past, a player could drop multiple tiers in one offseason, like falling from X Factor all the way to normal. That won't happen anymore. Now players can only drop one tier per season, making regression feel more natural and realistic. We've also removed the random element that previously influenced development trait changes. Before, some trait regression was based on chance in order to keep the distribution balanced. Going forward, it's all about performance. A player's development trait will now be determined by how they compared statistically to others at their position. To support this new performance-based system, we've raised the standards for keeping a development trait. Players must hit higher standard statistical benchmarks within their position group to maintain their current tier. This rewards consistent on-field success and helps prevent traits from sticking without merit. We've also updated how ability progression buckets work, making player archetypes feel more distinct. When you spend skill points, the attribute boosts now better match your chosen archetype. For example, upgrading a scrambler QB will boost different stats than upgrading a field general. This strengthens each archetype's unique identity and playstyle. Together, these updates may make player progression and regression more realistic, more satisfying, and more directly tied to performance, just like in the real NFL. Excuse me 1 second, I got a cough.
I like the changes that they've been talking about so far. It's definitely going to add a lot more depth when it comes to the franchise mode, more so than just like the basic stuff they've had in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of my biggest complaints, just like I had a complaint with the college with the deal breaker for kickers and punters being interceptions, made no sense. What also doesn't make sense with kickers and punters is you give me the option to spend the point on power or accuracy. And more often than not, it seemed like it didn't matter which one I spent it on, because I would spend it on power and he would get +1 awareness, +2 accuracy, or vice versa. Plus, I would spend it on accuracy and he would only get +3 power. Like, why even give me the option? Just make it kicking, and that's the only place I can spend it.
or just advance them. Don't even give me the option to advance them. Just advance them automatically.
Right. And on top of that, I understand why they went from 24 to 25 and made it more of a rare occurrence for acceleration and speed to upgrade, because it was kind of easy in 24. I think they kind of overcorrected in 25, but I understand why. And I've seen a consistent agenda to de-emphasize speed and acceleration across both college and Madden the last year, or in this new season, this new iteration of the game.
I mean, honestly, they should just tie it into the route running abilities.
While I agree it should have been a more rare occurrence, why did every time it happened, did it either happen to a guy in a position that doesn't care about speed or acceleration at all, like my freaking center, or it would apply to the literal already fastest guy on my damn roster who's already at like 97 speed and 98 excel suddenly get another +1 speed? Why? Why was it always one of the two? It was never like my third string wide receiver that's at like 92 speed gets a +1 speed. It was never that. It was always the guy that doesn't want it or the guy that doesn't need it.
See, I think that they should tie, like when it comes to that, I think they should tie speed in to your route running and your release.
Yeah, I'm okay with that kind of stuff too.
Like
just want a
release
system
for
where it goes to the players that both need it and could use it.
Like release for acceleration and then your route running for your speed. Like a combination of your route running equals a percentage of your speed.
Right. No, I get it. Honestly, I think it should just be a scaling curve. Like if you're at 82 speed, you should have a much higher chance to get a speed increase than if somebody that's at 97 speed. If you're at 92 speed, you should have a much higher chance than be able to get it than someone that's at 97. But it doesn't work like that because I would have Xavier freaking Worthy get a speed upgrade, but my 90 speed receiver never gets it.
Like Jordan Addison would never get a speed upgrade, but Xavier
Justin
Worthy
Jefferson
would.
never gets faster. Xavier Worthy does. What? Yeah. Xavier Worthy doesn't need it.
He's already one of the fastest receivers in the game.
Anyway, where was I? Okay, so we finished something. Okay. Game and season simulation stats. Again, as a sim player, this is going to be awesome. One of the biggest pieces of feedback we've heard from you is that the franchise simulation stats are too closely tied to team playbooks. Thank you.
Thank God.
Winning. We're always focused on making the simulation stats reflect real-life NFL seasons, and that includes addressing your feedback within our sim system. This year, we have reduced the overall impact of playbooks within the sim engine, and we're confident that sim stats for Madden NFL 26 will be better than ever before. Please tell me you did this for college football too. We said it earlier, but our team is full of longtime franchise mode fans. We understand how important it is that our engine is delivering exciting but realistic results in every franchise. Keep sharing your feedback on this one. We read it all. We thought it would be interesting to pop the hood, to walk those of you who are interested in learning more about our sim engine and talk shop on how we approached it this year. Our sim engine is very robust and calculates a ton of factors on a per play basis. We track where each player lines up, which routes receivers are running, who the primary receiver is, who's covering each receiver in man or zone as each play unfolds, and much more. Since our sim engine is this detailed, even a small change in how we tune stats can have a big ripple effect. One minor tweak can suddenly lead to strange results, like tight ends only catching 20 passes in an entire season. So tweaking a system like this always comes with great care. One area we have been looking at is how the game decides which receiver a quarterback targets on a pass play. That decision depends on many factors, as listed above, including who's covering the receiver and how skilled that defender is. For example, if the playbook makes Travis Kelce the primary receiver on a given play, and he has a favorable matchup against the defender covering him, the QB is more likely to throw to him. This makes sense on the surface, but it can lead to overly repetitive or unrealistic stat outcomes. It also results in the Chiefs always favoring tight ends on pass plays, even after Kelce has retired in your franchise. We found that playbook logic was playing too large of a role in this sim calculation, so we took a different approach. We started to experiment with shifting the logic to rely more on matchups and less on playbook assignments. However, when we completely remove the primary receiver factor from the playbook data, the results become too extreme. For example, Jamar Chase might end up with 250 catches and 35 touchdowns in a single season, while a top-tier tight end like Brock Bowers might barely register in the stat sheet. In those cases, quarterbacks like Joe Burrow throw 60 touchdowns just by repeatedly targeting Chase and T. Higgins every play. That's not the experience we want to deliver and doesn't align with our design goals. On the other hand, when we reduce the influence of playbooks rather than removing it entirely, we are seeing much more realistic results. The sim stats stay within an acceptable range, and while there are still occasional outliers, like a quarterback finishing with 40 touchdowns and only 2 to 3 interceptions, those moments are rare, leaving them to be more memorable. We're constantly experimenting on the back end of our engine to refine and improve it. We're seeing clear improvements when focusing more on matchups and are fully committed to always improving the system with your feedback. Okay, time for some feedback to repeat from the last video we did, in case an EA dev ever reads this. In
1 minute.
both games, college football,
And there we go.
It's not a rant, it's just a plea. It's more of a plea to EA. But please make it so that you can adjust the sim playbook connection enough that you can set custom playbooks as the default playbooks for your franchise and dynasty, so that we can then use the formation subs accessible in the menus. I understand the ones in the game, you can use the ones in the game with custom playbooks, but those do not carry from game to game. So in the formation subs menu option, allow us to be able to use custom playbooks. Currently, with the current system, and I can only assume it's tied to the fact that you have to use playbooks in SimLogic, and a custom playbook is an unpredictable variable that gets introduced into the SimLogic, is the reason that you have it set where we cannot set a custom playbook, or a custom scheme for that matter, as our default for our coach. But that has the unintended consequence that we cannot use full custom formation subs for our full custom playbook. Please fix that. We need to be able to utilize formation subs with our entire custom playbook. And to do that, we in the current system, because you can only do formation subs with your coach's default playbook, we need to be able to set custom playbooks as our coach's default playbook. Thank you. End rant.
I like what they've done to change up the sim logic here, like making it less reliant on the playbook and more reliant on and like kind of trying to balance the matchups and the playbook. I think that's a great idea. It's definitely going to put more emphasis on how you have your depth charts set up when it comes to game time, because you're going to have to pay attention to that especially if you have to sim a game. Because you want to make sure that the way that you have your depth chart set up, it puts your best matchups in the position that they need to be in, especially when it comes to the playbook that you're running.
Yeah, 100%.
I do wish that they would have it go more off of schemes and have the scheme be customizable to a point. You know, like take like if you're in a 3-4 storm scheme for defense, but you want to change out like what your the ends you use and the outside linebackers you use, you should be able to do that. Same with like on offense, if you're using like a West Coast runs scheme, but you want to make it like a hybrid between vertical and power run. You know.
Right. Yeah, 100%. All right, we're almost to the end of this. Morale changes. We've improved how player morale works for certain players in your franchise. Now, younger players or those with lower overall ratings will see bigger morale boosts after a breakout game. This change is meant to reward under-the-radar players who get a chance to step up often, because a regular starter is sidelined with wear and tear. If they perform well, their morale goes up, giving them a better chance to stay hot the following week. It's designed to support long-term progression and keep players motivated. Even if they're on a losing team, they can still stand out even when the wins aren't coming. This also benefits players battling to hold on to a starting job. A boost in player morale could mean a small ratings increase, which might give them an edge over a backup with a similar overall rating. Think about the Saints quarterback situation this year. If someone steps up and performs, they deserve a reward, and will do that by raising their morale. We saw this play out during a franchise playthrough with the Steelers. Rookie Caleb Johnson started after Jalen Warren went down for 2 weeks. Johnson rushed for 130 yards and scored twice in his debut. That gave him a solid morale boost. The next week, he followed it up with 115 yards and got another bump. Thanks to that momentum, he progressed faster, and when Warren returned, Johnson kept the job, not just because of performance, but because his overall rating had climbed slightly higher from the morale boost. Thoughts on that?
I definitely like the changes to the morale system. I think it's going to be extremely helpful, and it can also be a huge detriment depending on how you perform in the game.
Yeah, I would say also that, like, I think it could be improved as well by if you could tie it to how close that backup player is to the guy in front of him in overall rating. Like if I'm like they pointed out, if Caleb Johnson is close to Jalen Warren overall rating, maybe he gets more morale from a breakout game because he sees that he has the chance to maybe take the starting job.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Versus
Like
somebody that's 10 overalls lower, they might not get as big of a morale boost because, well, I mean, no matter, even if I do really good, I'm probably still going back to the bench once he comes back.
Right. But I mean, then again, like if it's like 10 overalls under and he like just balls out that entire game and like scores the majority of like if he, especially on offense, scores the majority of the touchdowns, I could see that being a huge morale booster, and because I mean that could give the idea of him potentially coming up to the starting lineup, you know. Whereas to like defense, like if you're like say you're like 10 overalls lower, but you're like deep in the depth chart as a defensive tackle, and you end up coming in because two other defensive tackles are like on the sideline because of wear and tear. You come in and you just like run. You're just running a rampage through that offensive line, getting sacks after sacks. I mean, I could see that also being like a decent morale booster as well.
Yeah,
But on the flip
100%.
side, like if you come out and like you're just getting stuffed at the line, then I could see them like having it be a morale hit because like a small boost because they got to go in, but even bigger like hit because they weren't able to do anything.
Right. No, I agree absolutely with that. All right, revamped player tags logic. Player tag logic has also been completely revamped for every tag. You'll see more realistic application of tags now for every team and franchise. The quarterback of the future tag has new logic that only assigns this tag to players you'd expect would receive it in real life. In Madden 25, you'd see any young quarterback get assigned that tag, regardless of their overall rating. Since this has an impact on starters in the depth chart and progression, we want to be careful that we're applying this to the right players. The day one starter tag has new logic that only assigns this tag to players who are drafted in the first couple of rounds during that year's draft and have an overall rating that is expected of someone who should start. Again, in the past, we'd assigned this tag to players who were a 60 overall rating, and that didn't help that player or their team much. The future starter tag is now applied to non-QBs who have been in the league 4 years or less and are not currently starting for their team, but were drafted in the first or second round and have an overall rating that projects to being able to start for their team in the near future. So let me read that one again. The future starter tag is now applied to non-QBs who have been in the league 4 years or less and are not currently starting for their team, but were drafted in the first or second round and have an overall rating that projects to be able to start for their team in the near future. The mentor tag has new logic that only assigns this tag to older players who have the leader personality type.
Oh, okay.
The trade target tag has new logic too. Let's talk about veteran trade target players first. The logic now looks at how a player's team is performing and whether that team is in rebuilding mode or not. If it makes sense for teams like that to move a veteran for a draft pick or two, they will assign this tag to the player and place the player on the trade block. We've seen some really interesting trades around the trade deadline between teams that are out of playoff contention and teams trying to find that one missing piece to make a playoff run. For younger players, the trade target tag is applied very rarely now and only really for players who are buried on the depth chart on winning teams. They may not be good enough to start for their team and aren't players that their team wants to build around. In that case, those players will receive the trade target tag and will be placed on the trade block in the hopes that another team in a rebuilding phase will have a spot that will give them a chance to get on the field. The bridge player tag is now applied to non-QB starters with an overall rating less than 80 who are also at least 27 years old. So non-QB starters with an overall rating less than 80 who are also at least 27 years old.
I mean, I don't know as if I would consider less than 80 a starter candidate.
Well, no, it's what it's supposed to be is this player's good enough to start for you if you don't have something better, and be there for a year or two for you to find and develop someone else to take the job.
Yeah.
It says that type of player in the NFL can and will be replaced by a younger and less expensive option in future drafts. So we want the team to take that into account. when tagging players who fit this criteria.
It sounds like you can choose their tags.
No, I think they meant the game to take that into account, the team to take that into account. I think they mean the AI logic.
I mean, if you can assign tags, though, that would also be very beneficial.
It would be, but I don't think they give us that. The bridge quarterback tag was also applied too much in the past, so this year we've tuned the logic to be more focused. In order to have the bridge quarterback tag applied, a player has to be a starter, has to have been in the league for 4 years or more, and has to be one of the bottom 10 starting quarterbacks in the league in terms of their overall rating. Again, a bridge quarterback would be like Sam Darnold was last year for the Vikings, where he was a bottom 10 starting quarterback that was brought in to be a bridge between Kirk Cousins and J.J. McCarthy. Now, with the performance he had this last year, I would assume that bridge quarterback tag would be then removed because he was one of the top quarterbacks last year. Now, we'll get to see this year in Seattle if it was because he matured into a starting quarterback or if it was because of Kevin O'Connell and Justin Jefferson.
He'll probably be a future trade target.
I think so too. But all right, news stories. As always, we've improved our news stories so they focus on what do you mean as always? You literally did nothing to improve news stories between Madden 24 and 25.
A little bit, but yeah, not much.
As always out of this.
They did a little bit, but yeah, they didn't really do much.
We've improved our news stories so they focus on delivering the most important stories every week. Last year, we introduced the top stories area of Franchise Central, which brought the stories that mattered to your attention as soon as you completed a game, advanced the week, or loaded your franchise. We're continuing to add more stories to that area of Franchise Central, and our focus is on making those stories visual and interesting each week. One of our favorite news stories is the weather forecast top story. You'll now be alerted entering the week whether there is rain, snow, heavy rain, or heavy snow in the forecast for the week. You'll also see forecasts of other games around the league. If you're coaching the 49ers, but there's snow in the forecast for the Buffalo-Miami game this week, you'll know about it. What I want to know, though, is if you're a coach of, if you're a coach of the Cleveland Browns and there's a snow forecast for the Detroit Lions, which doesn't affect their stadium because they're in a dome, but you could conceivably get a weather forecast for Detroit, right?
Right.
Does Cleveland have similar weather because it's close in proximity?
The way that I would put that, because it's actually Cleveland would actually be closer in proximity, I think, to the Cincinnati, isn't it?
No. Cleveland is closer to Detroit and Buffalo than it is Cincinnati.
Oh, okay.
Cleveland is literally along the southern shoreline of the Great Lake that Detroit's on the shore of.
Oh, okay, yep. I was.
And Buffalo's on the opposite shore.
You know, I was thinking Columbus is what I was thinking.
So a better question would be if Cleveland has a snow update and it says, hey, there's going to be a snow game in Cleveland this week, and Buffalo is also home that week. Do they get the same type of weather because they're that close in proximity? I'm curious to see if that happens.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I would imagine not, but I mean, you never know.
Well, I would imagine not as well, but then you look at in the college game how they change the dynamic lighting to reflect the location and time of year both at all times. So like a game, 5 o'clock game in Ann Arbor is going to have completely different lighting than a 5 o'clock game in Eugene, Oregon on the same week. And they will also have a completely different set of lighting in November than they do in September. So they are literally using geographical location to determine the positioning of the sun and the light from it. So I would imagine they could use that same geographical location logic to determine weather in stadiums that are close to each other.
So what I'm thinking would be a better example of the specific stadiums that you're wanting to see the comparison between. So it'd be like if we were playing a snow game at the Ann Arbor at the Big House, would we also be playing a snow game down at Spartan Stadium?
Correct. That would be a good example of what I'm asking. Because Cleveland and Buffalo are not that much farther apart than Ann Arbor and Lansing. I mean, they're a little bit farther, but not much.
I'd probably say they're a little bit farther, quite a bit farther apart. But yeah,
Either way, point
I mean,
being, they're both
they'd be
close to the dam's Great Lake. Okay, so
they'd be closer to Pittsburgh than Buffalo.
all right, so, but you understand my point, though.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see. We've also given draft prospect top stories a major upgrade. Now throughout the season, you'll see stories clearly labeled as draft preview, combine report, and more. No more confusing or cryptic social media style posts that mention a random kick returner. You won't be left wondering what team they're on or if they're even a draft prospect. From now on, it'll be obvious which stories are focused on draft scouting. Even better, you'll actually understand what each story is communicating. These updates are tied directly to the draft prospect projection changes, so you can track how players in your league rise or fall throughout the season. We couldn't be more excited for you to get your hands on everything we've added to franchise mode this year. This has been a true labor of love for our development team, who are diehard franchise players themselves. From the reimagined coaching abilities, metagame, and deep coach personalization to enhanced weekly strategy, weather impact, revamped AI, and the most immersive game planning tools we've ever built, this is franchise mode's biggest leap forward in over a decade. We can't wait to see the incredible stories you'll create, and we'll be right there with you, continuing to listen, learn, and push the mode forward in the seasons to come. Thank you for your continuous feedback, support, and see you on the sticks. One other point of feedback based on that right there. Don't make us go a decade and wait until you're in a contract year with EA to give us this kind of an update. Just saying.
Right, yeah, I agree.
Real quick, just let me go over these real quick because then I'm at the end of the page. For those that are still considering the MVP bundle or pre-ordering either game, these are what you get from it. MVP bundle. If you pre-order the MVP bundle before August 14th, so even after the college game is out, you can pre-order the MVP bundle. You get in Madden 3 days early access, 4,600 MUT points, bundle exclusive MUT item, early access to solo challenges, MUT Season 1 Elite Player item, MUT Cover Athlete Player item, Franchise Coach Ability Points, Superstar Legendary XP Boost, Player Card Exclusive item. And in college football, you get EA Sports College Football 3-day early access, 4,600 cut points, bundle exclusive cut item, early access solo challenges, cut top prospect pack, cut all hands pack, dynasty coach points, and road to glory skill points.
Yeah, so I don't like the idea of them just giving us like points because you pre-ordered it. At least like in Dynasty and in franchise, I think that kind of takes away from it a little bit. But I mean, that's just my opinion.
I like it only for one situation. You know how that I run the leagues that we've been playing.
Right, yeah, and you do a lot of offline
testing.
stuff.
I like to do a lot of extensive testing. And between the date that college football is released and my intended start date a few weeks later for the leagues, I want to do extensive testing. Right. You know what helps me do extensive testing when it comes to coach talents and the impacts that they have on the settings and on the players and on the games?
Having points early on.
Free points early on.
Right.
So I like it for that. I don't really care or really want it beyond that.
So, so what are your final thoughts on the changes and improvements they've made to the franchise mode for Madden 26?
I think that it looks like it said, it's the biggest update that franchise mode has gotten in over a decade. It should not have taken this long, but I'm very excited about what they're doing. I think a lot of it is moving in the right direction. I love that they are, just like the college devs, are paying attention to what's being said, what's the feedback that's being given on social media, on message boards, in content that's created for platforms such as YouTube and Twitch, that they're paying attention, they're listening to the fan base and the player base, and they're not just prioritizing the needs and concerns of the top 1% spenders. I just hope that the attention that we're seeing being given to franchise mode and to the game overall is an indication of what we're going to get regularly moving forward, and not just a last year with college football coming back after 10 years. This year with them going into a contract year with EA for the exclusive license and just being a byproduct of that. And when those aren't the case, it goes back to minimal effort year in and year out.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see them continue putting the same level of effort every year in, year out, not just because it's a contract year, but just because fans love this game. They want to see this game improve every year. They want to see this game get new features that they may have had in the past, or even ones they've thought of for the game moving forward. I want to I like what they've done to change the game this cycle. I like what they've done to improve the game this cycle, taking into account some of the things that didn't work last in 25 that they're looking to improve and make better in 26. I like that, especially like with the wear and tear system they're implementing. The fact that it looks like they're actually going to be fixing the way that the training is done with the half pads, rest, and whatnot. It looks like we won't know for sure until the game actually launches, but I've been hearing some good things about that from people who have had early access to the game. So I'm hoping that carries over into the final release of the game and that it's not a buggy mess like it has been in 24 and 25. Right. So, and with that, I think my final thing to say is if you're hyped for Madden 26, make sure you drop a like and let us know what team you're going to be playing first and who your favorite coach might be.
Yep. Appreciate everyone for stopping by, for rocking with us. If you did, again, please remember to like, share, subscribe, and please check out the GoFundMe link in the description of the video. It should be in description on both channels. Is that right?
Yep. Should be. Yep.
Again, it's not for just anything. It is for what I would consider a good cause. If you have any questions, would like any transparency on what I'm going through and the reason that I'm asking for the help, happy to answer any questions and provide that information. You can find me on every social media platform across all of them at Kinetik615, just like it says on the screen. If you can't find me, then I'm not on that platform. And you can also catch me, excuse me, on my other channel, Kinetik615, which is not currently being used right now, but theoretically will be in the near future for sports podcasting, including as a co-host over on the Maze Madman channel with my guys, the Maze Madman and the Boxing Maniac, and my guy here, Lichemax, as well. Monday nights, talking all things Michigan Wolverine football, and during the season on Saturdays for post-game shows as well.
Yep, and you can find me at Lichemax626 on YouTube, Twitch, and on X. And then you will also be seeing me over on the Maze Madman channel as their stat boy for the post-game reviews. Also, obviously, you can find me here on the Gamer's Sideline, which hopefully will be doing shorter episodes moving on after we get past these game coverages. And we'll actually, in the future, we plan on trying to bring some people up to talk sports, talk games, just, have a good time, record it, post it on the internet.
So, again, thank you for rocking with us. And until next time, guys, as always, it's Go Blue and Skull Vikes.
And, have a good one, everybody.
We're signing off strong, that's how gamers take control. Game clock's low, but the grind never stops. We've been calling plays while we breaking the box. Talking Madden 2K and them college snaps. Then we flip to the sticks, talking strat and stats. From joystick dreams to Friday night lights. It's controllers and cleats under podcast mics with Lichemax dropping deep like he's throwing a bomb. And Kinetik calling audible, staying calm in the storm. From the field to the sticks, yeah, we bring the heat. With Kinetik and Lichemax, never miss a beat. When the final whistle blows for the credits roll, we're signing off strong, that's how gamers take control. Catch us on the sideline, where legends chill, where the playbooks flip and the passion's real. If you heard the takes, then you know the drill. Till next time, fam, keep it clutch, keep it skill. From the field to the sticks, yeah, we bring the heat. With Kinetik and Lichemax, never miss a beat. When the headset's off and the lights go low, we'll be back next game, y'all already know. We out.